Right. Everybody ready?
Yes.
Yep. We'll start with the Ridgway Workforce and Affordable Housing Committee meeting, Wednesday, July 9th, 2025. I'll call it to order and ask clerk to call the roll.
Here, Kevin Bramley.
Did you?
Yeah. She said her name.
Again.
Just say here, Beth.
Did you hear me,
Sorry,
Beth?
here, I'm like trying to figure out my volume.
Okay, great.
And the problem is Pam doesn't have a mic, so it's probably.
Michelle Montague. Yes, here. Her volume, she's trying to hers.
Yeah, but they can't hear you.
Terry Schuyler,
Here.
Josie Scoville.
Here.
John Clark.
Here, thank you. We have one action item for this committee tonight. Item number 1, resolution number 2502, approving adoption of language changes in Ridgway Wetterhorn Homes regulations and guidelines. Preston, are you kicking us off?
Actually, I'll just introduce Lois Major. She should be familiar to everybody. And Lois, thanks for joining on Zoom.
Hi, thanks for letting me join on Zoom. So much easier. Hi, everyone. So if you read the memo, you can see it's a small detail, but significant for people buying and selling these homes. Apparently, the rural homes people, Paul and those guys, they wanted to exact the fee from the buyer. And in all the other documents, it was from the seller. So apparently when we did the covenant and the guidelines, it didn't match up, but it seems better and more fair and easier to administer if the fee comes from the seller. And I talked with Jim Kolnick, the administrator, he said no fees have been exacted from anybody yet, so that's not a problem to grandfather anyone in or do anything like that. Sorry, I can see my thing's all foggy. But so I think my recommendation, and I think I got support from Bo Nerlin and Preston, is to have the sales fee taken from the seller. And the other thing I realized when we were looking into this is that it had two different names talking about there's only 1% fee. And in one document it said administration fee, the other document it said sales fee. So to just clean everything up, what this is asking you is to exact the fee from the seller at the time of closing, and then to call any fee regarding the sales fee, administration fee, and then that goes to whoever is going to administer your program. I know you put an RFP at one point, whether it's going to be IDS or somebody else, but then that fee would help fund the program.
Okay, thanks. Lois, that's very helpful.
Why haven't any fees been collected on this? Have there been any sales?
No, so far Rural Homes has been paying the administrator, and that was their deal through, I think they were going to try to do that until a date certain or until all the homes sold from the developer. And I think, is there 2 homes left that are empty? Do you know? I don't know off the top of my head, but so Rural Homes has been paying the administrator to operate, so that they haven't collected any fees and the town hasn't had to pay for that administration yet, but I have a feeling that's moving towards you guys will soon be responsible for paying the administrator. And hopefully some of these houses will turn over and you'll collect some fees.
Good.
Okay.
That makes sense to me. It's sort of a standard real estate thing. The seller pays a percentage for this kind of things. So sounds good to me. Cleans it up.
Any question from you guys online?
No question. Sounds good here.
I mean, is this standard in deed restricted properties kind of across the board to charge the 1% fee?
It has been in places that I'm familiar with, like the town of Telluride and San Miguel County and the town of Mountain Village. They all do that. At some point, the town of Telluride dedicated a funding stream to support the housing authority, so they stopped collecting the fee at one point. The county still collects the fee, the problem in, like places with HOAs, there's also HOA fees. Sometimes they get collected or they have transfer fees. But since, at least at this point, the Wetterhone Homes does not have an HOA, so there's no other kind of off the top collection from them. So this would be the only administration fee that they would get.
And I ask because it's actually kind of a drop in the bucket compared to what we're going to be paying a housing administrator. Because yes, some turnover is great, but we also were targeting these homes at community members who, in all likelihood, aren't going to move on, or we would like them to stay and be part of the community. And so, you know, on a $400,000 house, we're collecting $4,000. And depending on really what that turnover rate is, I don't actually have a problem with changing this tonight. I'm actually just kind of raising it as a point of discussion in terms of charging a 1% fee to folks. And this is going to come out of their equity that they've been able to build even with the 3% cap. So I'm fine with it tonight. I just think it's something as we continue to move down our administrator path and look at administering housing, how we're going to fund that. Are we just kind of making a slush fund from these sales at an irregular rate? Do they just kind of go into a general fund like we do with tap fees on water and sewer? So that's my food for thought. I don't actually have a problem with this. I think it does make more sense to take it from the seller and remove that barrier to purchase, but just my
Yeah,
thought.
and I think your point's very valid, and you know, the less turnover, the less work they have, but they're still going to always have work, whether everyone stays in their house for 10 years because there's compliance and stuff like that. But there is a little exit strategy where they, if for a good cause, you as the administrator, as the workforce housing committee, could waive a fee if someone's in a pinch or there's extraordinary circumstances or something. You could reduce or waive the fee. So that's, yeah.
I'm just bringing it up as a philosophical thing about a town, about how we fund administration. That's all.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any questions in the audience, either in the room or online? All right, make a motion.
I move to adopt the resolution as written.
There you go. I was looking for it, could manifest. It's at the bottom. Second.
Okay, motion made by Polly, seconded by Josie. Roll call vote, please.
Polly Kroger. Aye. Kevin Bradley.
Aye.
Beth Lakin.
Aye.
Michelle Montague. Aye. Terry Skyler.
Aye.
Josie Scoville.
Aye.
John Clark.
Aye. All right, with that, I will close the Ridgway Workforce and Affordable Housing Committee meeting. Thank you, Lois, for being here
Okay.
again.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Bye.
Lois.
And we'll move on to open the regular meeting. Second here. All right, I will call the Ridgway Town Council meeting Wednesday, July 9th to order and ask the clerk to read the roll.
Councilmembers Scrambley,
Here.
Kroger. Here. Montague. Here. Skyler.
Here.
Scoville.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lakin.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here. All right, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No, sir.
Nothing?
Nope.
Okay, great. That brings us to the consent calendar. Is there anything on the consent calendar anybody wants to pull off to take up separately, or if not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion made by Polly, second by Beth. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Scrambley,
Aye.
Kroger. Aye. Montague. Aye. Skyler.
Aye.
Scoville.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lakin.
Aye.
All right, thank you. That passes unanimously. That brings us to public comments. Established time on the agenda to address council on any item that is not otherwise listed on the agenda. Anybody have any public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to policy matters. Item number 7 is confirmation of amendment of stage 3 water restrictions. Preston.
Thank you, Mayor. 1 second, I'll get set up on this PowerPoint. Kevin, Beth, Terry, can you guys see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yes, President.
Yeah. Actually, gonna come up to the podium. So the subject at hand is water restrictions, since we're currently in stage 3 water restrictions, but I thought it would behoove all of us to take a step back, reflect a little bit on how we've gotten to this point with our current water situation, and maybe understand some fundamentals. You guys, a lot of you on the town board have seen some of the slides, or maybe all of them on this PowerPoint, so bear with me. But I think this is not only helpful for you all, but members of the public who are interested as well. So this image should look familiar. This is a segment of the San Juan Mountain Range that we all see quite often. On the left-hand side, we have White House Mountain, of course, Sneffels on the right. That western face of White House Mountain funnels down into what we all know pretty well of Beaver Creek. A lot of variables lead to the water that gets into that creek, but generally speaking, we always say that the western face of White House Mountain is a lot of that supply. This schematic is taken from the LRE water assessment that was conducted back in 2022. I think it's a really good depiction, and I want everyone to, and I'm using like a laser pointer here, folks. So for the folks on Zoom, you're not gonna be able to see the laser pointer, but I want everyone to imagine just a line right here. I want to paint a picture that there's a dichotomy, a clear dichotomy between the Beaver Creek diversion and the Ridgway ditch water supply, and then the Happy Hollow ditch head gate water supply, right? So generally speaking, on the left-hand side of the screen, we have, it says Ridgway ditch, but we can imagine this little dot here is the Beaver Creek diversion point, where traditionally the town has diverted water from Beaver Creek into the Ridgway ditch. Josie, do you mind admitting Jake into the?
Is that where we're doing the work right now? Right about at that dot?
At that dot, correct.
Okay.
So water is diverted at Beaver Creek. It gets into the Ridgway ditch, and there's an orange dash line here that goes all the way, meanders through, not in any linear fashion whatsoever, but it goes through a lot of properties and ends up in Lake Tonawanda. That is the town's reservoir. There is a transmission line, another orange dash line from Lake Tonawanda to the pre-sedimentation ponds that sit right here, right above the water treatment plant, before it is treated and heads down into the town's distribution system. So that's one primary water supply. And then I mentioned before, we have the segment of water from Cottonwood Creek. We call it Happy Hollow. I have no idea why, but we have the Happy Hollow headgate ditch that comes down into the pre-sedimentation ponds as well. This is a good aerial image of Lake Tonawanda as it really looks today. I think it's an image from probably winter months. And then this is an image of the pre-sedimentation ponds. We have the upper pond up here, the middle pond on the left-hand side. I guess it's the north side, but the left-hand side of the image, and then the bigger lower pond here. And then you can see here the water treatment plant structure and the 2 holding tanks. So I just want to again paint a picture about how the water is getting from these sources. Some of it's going to Lake Tonawanda. A lot of it's ending up in these pre-sedimentation ponds, and then ultimately into the treatment facility and down into the distribution system. I know you all have seen a lot of these photos, but again, want to hammer home that last August we had a major event that took out that diversion point, our infrastructure at the Beaver Creek diversion point. Some of y'all have actually been up there to see the gravity of what we're dealing with. The image on the left-hand side is a before photo. The water used to come down, excuse me, the water used to come down this channel here. This is how the creek was configured, or it was configured in a way where the water was checked and came this way to this grizzly, this water screen. You can see all the gravel that's being sifted out. The image at right is the exact same positioning, exact same grizzly with mud, boulders, other debris immediately after that event. This is a before photo. That's Randy Barnes. You can see the arrow here. This is where the grizzly is. The water used to come down this trough. This was a gravel sluice gate here, down some more trough, give or take, and then into the ditch. Here's another before photo of what that trough used to look like. And then these are after photos. Again, immediately after the event last August, just mud, debris, boulders, and that's largely what it looks like now. Although you see the spring pipe, it has now been erected again. It's over the creek and gathering a lot of that spring water that was on the southern side of Beaver Creek there. So again, after photos of what we dealt with last August. And again, it looks like that now, largely. This photo on the left, again, sorry to be redundant, but it's another photo that shows the channel where the water used to come into the grizzly. You turn around and you get this photo, almost a 180. The water, the creek has been reconfigured in a way where the water comes in a different braided channel and no longer comes in the direction that it used to. And it's a pretty significant difference. The Beaver Creek and Ridgway Ditch are now not aligned by a lot. And almost the pictures don't do it justice. You actually have to be out there to see how much material got moved and the gravity of that difference. So bringing it back around to the status of water restrictions, we started with voluntary restrictions. I can't remember when it was sometime in June. Then we went to mandatory restrictions at some point in June again. And demand continued to exceed supply to a point where the pre-sedimentation ponds, if you remember the photo before, we'll look at it again. Those ponds were getting really unhealthy and they were drawing down really, really fast, which was the impetus for going into stage 3 water restrictions, right? And so the town, to my knowledge, has never been in stage 3 water restrictions, anything beyond the mandatory level, okay? So, in all honesty, to be candid, we were nervous. So we bought a lot of yellow mine pipe and took a lot of railroad ties and we went up to the Beaver Creek diversion point and started making stuff up. There are railroad ties here that are diverting a good CFS of water into this yellow mine pipe here. This is the highest point in that diversion. Well, it's not the highest point, but that's where it starts. And you can see in this photo that we have it raised on railroad ties. You can't really see it well here in the room. Maybe you can on Zoom, but there's railroad ties holding these collars and these pipes strung up across the creek so that there's enough head and possibility to get it to the Ridgway ditch. There's an image of that collar there. And then this is an image looking south towards the creek. We have that pipe strung all the way down to, and if you remember, using the arrow here, this is the trough, what used to be the trough. We have this pipe coming down and pouring into the ditch. I mentioned this before. This is that spring pipe that was put up a few weeks after the event last August, and it consistently gets about, it consistently gets about, Joanne, what, 0.2, 0.4 CFS? Yeah, something like that. Well, this thing we rigged up is getting 2 or 3 times the amount that is coming just from that spring pipe. So right now, last time I checked, Randy said there's a little over 1.1 CFS coming down with both of those pipes working and with not too much gravel clogging up that yellow mine pipe, which is a huge win, right?
Yep.
This is the same image we looked at before. This is Lake Tonawanda. The folks on Zoom are going to be able to see this, and I'm gonna have to go up to the screen because the pointer's not working. A couple Saturdays ago, we made the decision once we started getting more water into the Ridgway ditch to circumvent Lake Tonawanda to get more water into the pre-sedimentation ponds. So I'm going to walk up to the screen. And And Mayor Clark knows this because he was there with us cleaning out the ditch, but the ditch pretty much runs right along here and comes down into a little vault and transmission pipeline that goes directly to the pre-sedimentation ponds. So right now, there's no water going into Lake Tonawanda. They're going directly to these pre-sedimentation ponds and they're,
Question,
but
was the ditch already there alongside the lake?
Yeah.
It already existed?
We've used the ditch for decades when there was no outlet to the lake.
Okay,
It needed. Went up there.
we just went up there and cleaned it out.
okay.
And the pre-sedimentation ponds are filling up and they're a lot healthier, which is really great news. And talk a little bit more, but I want everyone to know, I want to make sure we're all on the same page. I'm sure some of you have received calls, have been alerted about the situation over on Green Street, where the school has their pump house. I want everyone to know, and please repeat after me, the sign says it right here. This is groundwater, not town water. This water has nothing to do with the town's domestic or non-potable supply systems. It's groundwater attributed to some up irrigation from the nearby irrigation ditch. Wolf Land Company uses it. There's other rights holders, I think, but it's not uncommon this time of year, although it's a lot more this year for whatever reason. This is groundwater,
Not town.
not town water.
Is the pump house owned by town?
It's on town property, Joanne. I believe it's owned by the school district.
Okay, that's the clarification, because people, yeah, that helps.
And
Thank you.
Joanne just said we have a joint agreement with the school district. But we verified several times now that there's no leaks in that pump house or anything like that, just, you know, because we've received so many calls, understandably, because the optics aren't great.
Well, I know, as you probably know, it was on social media.
Yes.
Yes. As is everything.
That's a good question.
Yes.
So that's not well water. That's not a well house, it's a pump house.
It's a pump
So
house.
it's just leaching through the soil.
The water,
But the pump house doesn't have a leak.
the pump house doesn't have a leak. This water is leaching.
Is
Yeah,
it coming
water-
out of the creek there? Is it coming out of the creek
See,
or the ditch?
yeah.
Sorry, Jerry, what?
Is that water coming out of the ditch that's just to the, I guess,
No.
to the west?
I don't believe so. I think it's just coming out of the ground.
But
One-
it's.
I've received a,
Terry, real quick, sorry, that nearby irrigation ditch contributes to the groundwater level, so you can, you know, they are interconnected, if that's what you're asking.
yeah. And I can confirm that that's school owned because it has a school electric count on that meter. I've checked on that. But I've gotten a couple of comments from local neighbors that groundwater is leaching into the water table of the houses across the street and causing their sump pumps to work overtime. So I don't know that we have any control over that, but you probably heard some complaints about that too, I imagine.
It's the same thing. It happens all across town. Solar Ranch has the exact same issue. Where groundwater seeps up this time of year, floods people's basements. It's weird how some years it's worse than others. We don't really know why, but it's basically the alluvial substrata below the town property, the whole town, not just town property. And it just tends to seep up the closer you get to the river.
But for our council people's sake, we have no control over that. The town has no control over that.
Correct.
Yeah, the groundwater level in that area of town and a lot of places really, it's always been pretty high, so. Yeah, nothing we can do because it's groundwater, not town water.
They need to do t-shirts.
So that's the bulk of my presentation, but to kind of bring it back around before you is either ratification or amendment of stage 3 water restrictions. You just heard about some of the lengths we went to get additional water into the Ridgway ditch, which is awesome and a huge win. I like to think we did a considerable amount of outreach to try to get people to do their part. And the production numbers at the water treatment plant show that people started doing their part, which is pretty cool.
That's great.
And we did turn off the non-potable supply to the parks for a good amount of time. And I think we can all see that, especially here in Hartwell Park and over at the athletic park. but that was all in an effort to make sure that the supply would catch up, right? And we're in a lot healthier spot now. So we've actually recharged the non-potable system and have resumed irrigating the parks according to the current level of restrictions. So you know, we've made some big efforts. The recommendation is tonight doesn't from where I'm sitting, it doesn't matter if you're in stage 3 or want to go back to stage 2 or whatever stage you want to go in. Recommendation is that we continue this level of education and outreach to make sure that everyone still does their part and understands that pretty serious thing, especially considering, and Joanne will talk about it more, you know, the Beaver Creek Diversion Restoration Project is a big deal for this town, and we're all really excited to have it done. It's not going to be tomorrow or next week, but someday, and it's going to be great. So
I guess my question, like we talked about this last summer too, when we went into different water restrictions, is wanting to make sure we are moving with what the current concerns are. And clearly we had to go to stage 3 when things got pretty dire there, more dire there for a little bit. But if you're comfortable going back to stage 2, then I would recommend we go back to that, because you always, obviously, between council meetings, have the power with John to go to stage 3 if we get back to that. I want the community to know that we are looking at this and making changes based on the current status of things. And if you weren't comfortable going to stage 2, then I would go with, you know, recommendation of stage 3. But if you say we could do either at this point with that continuing education, then I think we should, you know, look at going back to 2 to show the community we are actively, you know, acknowledging what's going on and working on this and keeping the current status in our forefront of our decision making.
yeah.
I don't know if I would agree with that, because I feel like it says, oh, you don't have to conserve as much. And
I actually,
Have you read what 2 and 3 are, what the difference is?
yeah,
I actually have a question. I would love to see us at like a stage 4, basically double overage fees. Like, I think kind of what I want our community to hear from us right now is we can go to stage 2 if that's where we are, but that this council absolutely will go to stage 4. And when we do, like, not to like sound like a parent being like, it's coming, behave. But if you don't actually conserve at stage 2, we're going to be back at stage 3. But then we're running around trying to do enforcement on no outdoor irrigation. Like, what does that mean? And so I wonder if we actually need some sort of like mechanism in our charges, where if you're going over your base allotment in a stage 4 restriction, that probably means you're irrigating.
I think we should further discuss what that would be, the structure of that, right? There's
I'm just
different
spitballing,
options.
because I just wanted to have some teeth is really what I'm at.
Yeah, but I think we should look at the structure of what that would be, even if it's not, it doesn't happen this year, what that would be in the future. Like, is it based on a percentage? Is it that we lower the 5,000 gallons to 4,000? You know, the different scenarios that would be involved in that, because I think it's kind of tough when it's just voluntary, because you see people who aren't doing it at all, that are using as much water as they've ever used. And I know that the response is usually turn them in, tell the town, but nobody wants to do that.
Stage 2 is not voluntary.
Yeah,
Stage 3 is already.
Well, but even if it's mandatory, no one's
No, if
making
it's
you.
enforcement, it's voluntary.
Well, okay.
But in terms of like more looking at what our current regulations are, stage 2 is mandatory.
Right, but if there's no enforcement, it's up to people to do it or not.
Well, and that's why I was suggesting something like, and in the long run, again, this is a Beth raising I understand we can't do it tonight, but one of the ways that we make stage 3 when it's mandatory, the social pressure being, hey, yo, actually follow the rules, because it's going to come out of our bank accounts at stage 4, you know, because we have water usage. We can do that without running around and forcing people to turn in their neighbors.
if I can just add a couple of things real quick.
Please.
Lost my train of thought. Aaron, is Aaron here?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, actually, her and I had a phone call the other day when we went into stage 3, and the paper was kind enough to put it on the headline to help
Thank
people
you.
turn out in stage 3. So thanks, Aaron. But what we just
Thanks, Aaron.
is the water conservation and management plan that was adopted in 2018. When you get to stage 3, the very first thing it says in there is it's like water waste ordinance activated or
Right.
something like that, right?
Right.
We don't have that. It never, I don't think anything ever got enacted, so there's no punitive fees, fines, or anything of that nature codified in the code. So I think that was maybe a next step.
Yeah.
That might have been.
What Beth is saying is literally bullet point one of stage 3.
Yeah, no, so that's what I'm saying. So it's just like trying to, again, paint a picture on like, we're coming to this realization that we might be, this winter or sometime in the coming months to take a look at that conservation and management plan, evaluate mechanisms to achieve everything you guys are talking about with Beth's plugging, so that we're prepared for the future. But I will say, once the Beaver Creek diversion restoration project is complete, the hope and the aim is to avoid anything like this in the future, because we'll be able to garner a lot more water from that water source that we certainly are entitled to, than we've ever been able to take before. So
It would just be lovely if every time we go to stage 2 that our water use doesn't increase. Because if again, it's give and take, right? If we go back down to stage 2 now because we're okay, we need the community to know that if we go to stage 2 from stage 1, as it escalates, there are impacts. Because I think stage 2 right now to most folks doesn't have a lot of meaning.
Can I
Irrigate 2 days a week, right? Stage 3 is where it's to 1 day a week plus this.
2 is 3 days a week.
No,
Everything's still 3 days a week until you get to.
what I was looking at says on stage 2, irrigate Tuesdays and Saturdays or Wednesdays, Saturdays. Stage 2 is 2 days a week on the stuff.
Okay. Stage 2 is.
Oh, 1 is voluntary. Yes, you're right. You're
Yes,
right.
stage 2 is 2 days a week on the document here. And so, yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with stage 3, we should get that water waste ordinance
We
activated.
have a water wasting section.
yeah, but I don't.
There's no
ordinance.
Yeah, it didn't really cover.
It defines it, but it doesn't,
talk about.
it
Yeah.
doesn't describe.
Yeah, and I think stage 3 is definitely where you should have some real teeth on. This is when it's getting more critical.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a larger discussion about, is it a base allowance? Is it an overage, upcharge? Like, it's a larger discussion, but I think for some people, it's like, yeah, thanks for the suggestion. And then that impacts everybody else. So
along the lines of a larger discussion, and not to open a can of worms, but I was approached by a resident who asked a broader question. First off, great job on the piping. This is an interesting patch, but it's clearly a fragile system that we have now, and could be a fragile system even after we've completed all of the improvements. The comment I got from a resident is, why haven't we done more to explore connecting to Tri-County's water system? And I have absolutely no background information on that or no way to answer that question. And I don't really want to, open that up for major discussion right now, but it's something.
we have the emergency interconnect.
And I
We
don't
did that.
know whether we have a definition.
Rates and that, we do have an emergency to connect.
But that actually doesn't change anything, because if we tie into Tri-County water, I don't know what our charge is, but we can't be supporting yard irrigation with tying into Tri-County. That would be a domestic, you need to shower and have water to flush your toilet situation. We would still, if we were doing that, I would think, be encouraging really judicious water usage.
I think the nature of the comment that I perceived was, why aren't we exploring that as a more of a permanent water source solution for the town, rather than just a patch or another tie-in or.
Because I think in some ways our water rights are more secure.
Well, they are.
Yeah,
as long as the system
that's
works.
the question we have had with Tri-County. They would like to take over our water system. They would like to essentially buy it from us, acquire it, add it to their,
Portfolio of water sources.
and serve Ridgway on Tri-County water. And I don't know, that's not something we should explore, given that.
So there's a lot, so.
We studied on why we didn't.
Yeah,
Yes,
there's a long history with that. There's been plenty of conversations, and there was a point where they were interested in that. I don't know that that's holding true today, but we could certainly resurrect those conversations. But again, just kind of bring it back around. Terry, I'd be happy to talk with you or this resident about the history of those conversations with Tri-County. Beth, you're exactly right. There's the interconnect, which is only really beneficial for the east side of town based on where it is located. So I don't want to say minimal, but the impact is not, town-wide, right? So I just, we can continue the conversation. I just want to make sure we bring it back around to the subject at hand.
Yeah, I just had no way of answering his question, so I didn't know the background.
I think that all of this discussion obviously points out the need to discuss this at a much higher level and not in a regular council meeting, because it's just a really complicated set of issues. The question at hand is whether we want to go back to stage 2 or whether we want to stay at stage 3. I've heard Josie state her opinion, and it sounds like Michelle thinks we should stay at stage 3.
I'd like to hear from Preston. I think he probably has more of an opinion of either or.
Well, I've and the staff report, it's clear in there that I'm remaining a little indifferent no matter what stage. In my opinion, I mean, I get both sides of the argument, all the sides. Doesn't matter what stage you're going to be in, we're going to continue this path of outreach and pushing to do their part. That's not going to change no matter what the level is. So.
He said he'd feel comfortable remaining in this or reverting to.
I don't feel that strongly either way.
I think, can I say something? With the USDA drought designation for Uray County and the very well thought out and well put together plan for the yellow piping up there, I think that's incredible. I do think we should remain in 3 because of the nature to then go hog wild on water after being in stage 3, reverting back to 2. That's just my opinion.
I agree with 3 as well, staying at stage 3.
Isn't there something about?
I just looked at the advanced weather
Terry,
forecast.
hold on a second. Sorry. Go ahead, Joanne.
Isn't there something about the level of the lake and the water that defines the difference between 2 and 3?
There's trigger conditions in there, yeah, depending on like lake level and what we're having to draw from. But that's all out the window, considering we're not going to draw from Lake Tonawanda, right? I mean.
But the lake is, we're not drawing from because it's so low.
Right, I'm just saying, it was written in a perfect world and we're not in a perfect
Yeah,
world.
I know.
Well, but I think what Joanne is saying is we're at the trigger point, even though we're not pulling from Lake O, because that's.
Thank you.
It doesn't
Yeah.
seem like it should be an emotional decision. I think it should be a statistical decision.
Well, that
that's
was
what
my argument.
Joanne
though.
is saying.
And that's my argument too, though, is saying if he's done all the research and he says he's comfortable doing either, I just want to ensure the community that we are taking into effect that they did do that fix, that our water levels are back up, that the holy pond is in a better place. That's just my feeling. Like clearly, that's not how the rest of the board's feeling, but I do think that is a logical one.
Looking at the ordinance resolution number 1808 that created the water conservation management plan, stage 3 does refer to the level of Lake O falling below 2 feet below peak storage for the year, or the total depth falls below 6.5 feet. I think it's at 4 feet now, right?
Yeah.
That same paragraph also references that the demand remains above system capacity. So I'm not sure if those.
No, it says or. It's an or, not a it. Like, I guess the or.
It says and.
Yeah.
And we're not overusing our demand has gone down, our capacity is up.
So all the more reason to look at this water conservation and management plan in the future, just based on those trigger points. If we want to keep them the way they are, have them rewritten so to better, less ambiguous and a little more clear based on where we get our water from.
I want to give opportunity to people in the public. Tommy had a question or comment.
Yeah.
You come up to the mic, please, so we can all hear you.
Myself.
Sure.
Yeah, Tom Griffith. I live at 760 Clinton. I used to consult with a water conservation district in Texas, and we had similar problems. And what I want to make are 2 points. The first is social, and the second is technical. On the social side of it, if we change the drought level, the water conservation level too much, people are going to go, you guys are flighty, you don't know what you're doing. We saw that happen. If you change it more than once every couple of months, you lose credibility. Secondly, the technical thing is, I mean, it's a great temporary solution. Have we put any water in the bank? Like a Tonawanda, that's the bank.
Well, holding ponds are part of the bank too, though, right? And he's saying those levels are increasing.
But what's the question? Don't have nearly the capacity of Lake Tonawanda. And until we build up some reserve, I would strongly recommend against going back to 2.
Because we're not putting any in Lake O, which is the
Yeah,
bank.
Right. Yeah. So
Thanks, Tom.
that's my piece.
Anyone else have comments?
Thank you, Tom.
Anybody online?
Question.
Come on,
What is that?
Tom, please, thank you.
Beaver Council. What is that project that Beaver, what's it called?
Beaver Creek.
When is that supposed to begin?
That's the next thing on the agenda. So
We'll work.
we'll give you more
Okay.
as soon as possible, but it's, you know,
I'm all for stage. What are we in 3?
3.
I'm all for staying there, trust me.
I actually don't think we can leave stage 3 because as Tom pointed out, we're not adding anything to Lake O. This is a fragile fix. It'd be nice. It sounds like it's really hot. It'd be nice if we had some storms roll in. How is our temp fix gonna hold up to any sort of storm in that basin again?
We'll have to fix it. Yep.
But I think the fragility of it is actually a important point.
Joanne just said it's real replaceable, but she understands what you're saying.
It's still,
Still has.
Yes, still
it
has.
still has to happen.
I didn't know if you could
Yeah,
hear her.
the point we
I
talked
couldn't,
about,
but thank you.
yeah, the point we talked about right after the Friday that they put that in and the Saturday I went up to help clean ditch was that it needs to be checked like almost daily, certainly if there's any weather, because everything changes up there really fast. One question I meant to ask earlier, and I'll ask now just because it's still at the top of my mind. How did we decide to go with that 8-inch pipe and not something bigger? And is it possible to do an additional pipe or a bigger pipe?
You have enough pipe to do a second pipe. We chose 8 because we're almost at the point where the creek's not gonna have that much.
Okay, so we're
And
taking most of it right now.
bigger pipe to lead into the pipe. That would take a little more water, or we have enough pipe to do a whole lot.
Okay, so we're taking most of it right now.
Well,
No.
no, not right now, but
Okay.
we will be.
It does seem like it'd be worth exploring, trying to get just as much as we
Yeah,
can. I don't know why we
Yeah,
can't.
we have enough pipe. It's just enough, the pipe's heavy, right?
Right.
So.
Or I like
Well-
the idea of a funnel that, you know, go the bigger pipe that leads in the existing smaller pipe to, of course, if the smaller pipe's full, then I don't.
But a second pipe in the same path, if there was a weather event, we're slightly increasing the odds, but depending on the size of the weather event, that may not do what we wanted to do. I don't know. Or how much energy do we want to invest in the temporary fix and
So really, I think we just need to vote on stage 2 or 3, and then
Yeah.
in the future, talk about that water waste ordinance actually having some,
No, I
actually
agree.
existing.
I don't think I heard Beth and Kevin's take on 2 or 3.
Kevin said 3.
Kevin, you said 3.
I said 3, yeah. I think the statement earlier about until we are adding water to Lake O, I think we should be in stage 3.
Beth?
I think I've kind of moved in the stage 3 direction through this conversation. I came in not really knowing which direction, but I think I'm looking at stage 3.
Actually, Tom's comment about not changing it too often really resonated with me. I think the public does look at the changes we make and go, why?
It's so interesting, because I absolutely feel the opposite.
Okay,
I mean, I get, like, everyone has their own way they look at things. For me, I feel like I am more afraid that you're actually looking at it and making decisions based on the current status of things.
but to
Versus
me,
just putting it and then leaving it, even though, because I've heard people be like, well, we got a bunch of rain, well, we didn't, like, not this summer, but last summer, like, well, why are we still in this mandatory water restriction level 2? When we had like 8 different thunderstorms and water levels were fine and whatever, and I was getting the feedback from people saying, it feels like you guys aren't adjusting based on the current conditions, and so.
I think the current conditions right now for this year, right now, definitely point to staying at 3 for me. So it sounds like we can have a vote, but it sounds like everybody's leaning towards 3.
I think I think one of the things that I want to communicate to the public is that this group just said, we have some work to do on stage 2 versus 3. What are those different curtailments? And given our situation and some of the questions between the two, the prudent choice for the town is to go with the more restrictive, because we can't like pick and choose between the requirements, if that makes sense.
And I'm in agreement with that. I think we are at the trigger point in stage 3. I agree with Tom's comment about not oscillating too much. And I think the fix we have, although it's elegant, it's fragile and temporary. So with all of that combined, I think we should stay in stage 3.
Okay, why doesn't someone make a motion one way or the other, and then we'll vote on it?
I'll move that we remain in stage 3 under the current water restriction guidelines.
Second.
All right, motion by Terry, seconded by Polly. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Scrambley,
Aye.
Kroger. Aye. Montague.
Aye.
Schuyler,
Aye.
Scoville,
Nay.
Mayor Pro Tem Bacon. Was that, excuse me, I didn't catch your
She
vote.
said a name.
I said nay.
Becky said aye.
Yes.
Okay, so that's 5-1 passes. Thank you. That takes us to the next item, which is the update on the Beaver Creek Diversion Restoration Project. Joanne, are you leading us through that?
Yep. I don't have pretty pictures.
Great discussion, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly.
Looking forward to having a bigger conversation.
So we got, well, Respect's been working hard on the plans for how to restore it. We've been meeting now weekly with the funding agencies and Respect and the CMAR contractor Meridian. Last week, we got the 60% plans and we provided comments back on that as NRCS. Don't believe we've gotten any comments from CWCB yet. That came with a cost estimate from Meridian of around $2.1 million, including a 20% contingency. Since they came out with that for a week ago, we've added some things and taken off some things, and it's a moving target. But we're due, they got a design basis report, which was something NRCS required out the end of last week, and the towns commented, and I don't think we've seen anything from NRCS yet. But that's in progress. We're expecting the 90% plans the 22nd of July. But that should come with the guaranteed maximum price. And I think we talked about in the staff report how that process works, but that's our opportunity to either decide we like the price or we want to go a different direction. And so that's going to need a special council meeting, probably the 23rd or 24th. If you guys can do that. And we would hope to have something to you the day before the meeting to give you a chance to look at it, plus a chance to get you some sort of input on it. Because it's a real big decision at that point. You're either staying with these guys or you're gonna go conventional design build. And we'll take the plans from Respect and we'll turn around and try to bid it. The Meridian has asked for permission to break the contract up into smaller pieces. And mostly to be able to purchase equipment in advance of having the full contract. And at the staff level, we've talked about that and decided that we feel like we would prefer to be a week or two farther behind and just have a guaranteed price. If we have them order equipment for us, then we really don't have as much of an off-ramp should we choose to have it. So that's been the staff recommendation. They were concerned about how long it was going to take to get the dewatering permit and to a lesser extent the stormwater permit. So they submitted a change order today for shy of $10,000 to go ahead and just apply for those two permits. I checked, it's been a long time since I got a dewatering permit, but I checked the state website, and if they get the permit and we decide to go a different route, they have to sign the transfer and the new route has to sign the transfer, but that's all that's involved. So,
good.
Let's see, Preston talked about the temporary water line. That was a fun outing, I understand. I wasn't there.
You got to miss that.
Huh?
You got to miss that.
I got to miss that other than listening to how old he is. The staff report talks about the arrangements with Wolfland. We did get a draft license agreement, and I think probably the most pertinent update on that is they are offering the use of the road only, the ranch road only for construction. And once the construction is done, we need to find another way to get to the diversion. So.
And I'm assuming they have the authority to do that.
We won't answer that in this meeting.
Thank you.
I retract my assumption.
Let's see. Piping, so to be able to not use the ranch road to get in, we need to follow the ditch. And the road, there are remnants of a road along the ditch, along most of Wolf's property. When you get north of Wolf's property, it gets a little narrower. And when you get to the third property on your way to getting to County Road 5, it gets really treacherous. But to be able to use the access along the ditch, we pretty much need to pipe most of the ditch from basically the diversion to where we get back out to public property. So that, we had talked about piping the first quarter of a mile. This is basically quadrupling that. And
be really nice to have it though.
It would be really nice to have it. NRCS won't pay for the pipe. They wouldn't even pay for the pipe on the quarter mile. We were gonna use some of the emergency funds. I don't know if the emergency funds will go past that or not. Do you know?
I don't.
Yeah. The CWCB has the gambling money, Colorado Water Conservation Board, and those are called water plan grants. And we started thinking about when we started hearing that we weren't going to be able to use the ranch road on a permanent basis. We started thinking about applying for that. we didn't have enough information by the deadline for the July 1st. So we decided rather than put in a 4 application to wait and put in a December 1 application. Not expecting that when the construction ended, we would have to be done. So I don't know, there's a way to catch up on that. I did look, the water plan grant is a 50-50. We have loan money from CWCB that I'm pretty confident we can use for this. But that is, for every 100,000 we borrow, it's 80 cents per user. So, you know, $1 million project is another $8 to everybody. So we don't have a recommendation on that at this point, but we did think it was worth letting you know where we are and how things are going. The schedule, somebody's question. The goal was, the very optimistic goal was to be able to start moving water or dirt August 1st. At the rate things are going, both with the easement and how the fact that we really need to get the funding agency approvals and everything else, I think that August 1st is going to slip a couple of weeks. And it could be longer depending on how long it takes with both the funding agencies and the lease. We also need, I skipped over this, we also need an easement for the new diversion location. And that would be a permanent. So that's also part of the negotiations. We have a meeting scheduled a week from tomorrow to look at the road, the ranch road and the diversion site with Respect Meridian, Wolf's team, and maybe somebody from the funding agencies, although NRCS couldn't travel.
Do you still foresee being able to complete the project this year, or is it too soon to tell?
It's probably too soon to tell. I'm starting August 1st. I wasn't terribly optimistic we'd get it all done.
Okay,
So
we still have a few months in the spring before the highest water demand.
yeah, this year there was probably a month that we could get in there before the water started coming up.
And no telling how long into the fall, because we don't know when the snow comes.
Yeah, you don't know when the snow comes. I mean, I've been sort of thinking, you know, we're talking in Lake City, they gotta be done working outside November 15th. It's probably closer to November 1st at 9,300 feet.
Well, we do the best we can, right?
Yep. We'll just keep- I mean, I think we can, if we need to keep the yellow line, we can do things. I mean, we were desperate for water. We did what we could in a day. The guys did what they could in a day.
And that would get taken down for the winter.
I don't know. I think if we thought we needed the water through the winter, we could look at getting it buried.
Be nice to put it into Lake O at that point, but we'll have to see.
Okay, especially, that's what the original diversion was for.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Joanne. Questions from up here for Joanne?
Thank you, Joe.
Great.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Thanks.
Questions in the audience? This is the joys of working with multi-million-dollar loans and grants from all different levels of government. All right, so that takes us to discussion regarding the setting of a date for a special town council meeting in July on this.
Yeah, and Joanne already said it, 90% design July 22nd of a guaranteed maximum price at that point. And Joanne already floated, you know, July 23rd and 24th as options, but I mean, we're looking at that week for getting you all assembled to consider construction agreement and potentially a green light for Meridian Contracting. And as she talked about, there's certainly the off-ramp if need be, but we need everyone in the room to keep this moving forward.
Well,
I'm good, 24th.
the board is a concert.
Oh, let's not do the 24th, let's do the 23rd.
23rd is planning commission.
And 23rd.
Is that right?
Could
No,
we do it?
It's not,
it's the 16th.
and there is no,
It's canceled.
Well, is it possible? I don't know what everyone's schedule is on the 23rd or how long we need. Could we do it right before planning commission?
we don't, plan commission's not an issue.
Okay,
It's next week and it's been canceled.
Okay.
So we can do the 23rd as far as
Yeah, actually,
Friday, maybe, just because that's kind of
I
short.
know that sounds very lame to do it on
No, no.
Friday, but considering the fact that Respect would be giving us 90% on Tuesday, the 22nd, and then the DNP from Meridian, I mean, a day turnaround, have everyone review everything and try to be immersed in it enough to make a decision is a lot to ask. So Friday, the 25th would even work. Just.
I can't, I'm flying out on the 25th. I'll be darn good.
I'm fine the 23rd, but I can hopefully log in remotely depending on the time.
Theoretically could zoom in depending if I'm stuck in an airport or
Is
something.
the 28th soon enough? Would that help you guys?
I'm out of town the 28th.
I am too, but I could zoom in. Could-
Yeah, but I can zoom in.
Yeah.
Driving back.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think outside the box, like a lunch hour type meeting. I know it's a work day. We all think.
pre-concert, are we all going to the concert
I'm out of
like
town.
during the day?
This time of year, we're not gonna get everybody.
I'm open to any of it.
Oh.
Well, yeah,
can
I mean,
Figure on the 24th, is the 24th
Yeah,
too
on the day
close?
of the 24th,
I
it's
think-
open. If that's enough time for Preston to get together and us to review.
I think the 24th can work because then we can go to Respect and ready and let them know we're good for the 24th. So you need to add here to the 22nd kind of thing. So.
Okay.
If there's any,
yeah, because like I'm going to a concert in Grand Junction, but either I'll still be in town or I'll zoom in so we could get it done.
Say like 3 o'clock on the 24th or something like that.
yeah, is that, would earlier in the day be okay with everybody? Like a 3 o'clock
Works for me.
Thursday, the 24th?
Mm-hmm.
I think I can make that work. If I'm not flying, if I'm just at the desk, I can make that work.
I have an appointment from 2 to 3, but one person isn't critical.
I'll just quit early.
Yeah, I'm out of town, but I can.
I just have a question though, Preston, are you planning on using this room? Because this is the green room at about that time.
We could share it
It
with the
sounds like
band.
half of us are zooming in anyway.
I think the band will be fine,
Okay,
but
We can make
we
work.
can do it in Space Crate maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be out of town. I'm busy.
If most people are zooming, Preston, we could do it in your office.
That's true.
Oh, no, the other band's using that room. so.
Oh,
It's where
I'll figure it out.
it's where the cake is.
with the storage.
We'll figure out the venue, but I'm through, so.
We can be on the stage.
move outside, I don't care.
Figure it out, 3 o'clock on
The
July
24th.
24th. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
And if
everybody.
something happens, just change it to Monday or something.
Yeah, we'll adapt that all, know. Thank you.
Okay, you don't need a motion or anything for that, right?
But we need a motion for that?
For the special meeting?
Yes.
Thank you.
So, let's put it on.
Okay. So that good, that brings us to public requests and presentations. Item number 10, presentation regarding tobacco retail licensing. Becca. Okay.
Okay, actually, John, are you on, can you see the,
Yep,
yeah, okay.
Yes, sir.
go ahead.
Okay, hi, everybody. I'm Becca Dahl. I am so grateful for you guys. Thank you. Thanks so much for inviting me to present. I'm here today to speak to you more about reducing the impacts of tobacco and nicotine in the town of Ridgway through a tobacco retail license. And I just want to state that throughout this presentation, I will be using the terms tobacco and nicotine interchangeably, as there are new products that aren't derived from tobacco, but still contain nicotine and are still considered by federal and state definitions a tobacco product. So with that, let's look at the agenda for what I'll cover today. We'll begin by briefly going over youth tobacco and nicotine use. Next, we'll check out local statistics, examining current data on youth tobacco use in our community. Then we'll review tobacco retail license, or TRL, and specifically how it plays a role in regulating youth access to these products. And then finally, we will close with the next steps you as policymakers can take to strengthen prevention and help protect the health of our youth. So let's begin with an overview of the issue that we are here to help address today. Youth are using and have access to tobacco and nicotine products. First, tobacco products kill 500,000 Americans each year. Virtually all smokers begin their lifelong nicotine addiction as teens. As you probably already know, e-cigarettes and disposable vapes are very popular among young people. Nicotine products, like vapes, have high amounts of nicotine in them, driving up youth addiction and dependence on these products. The tobacco industry intentionally markets these highly addictive products in many kid-friendly flavors, such as gummy bear, strawberry, cotton candy, and even crazy ones like unicorn vomit. So let's put these newer nicotine products into perspective. A regular pack of cigarettes has 20 cigarettes and delivers about 22 milligrams of nicotine. Now, one jewel pod has around 40 milligrams of nicotine, which is about 2 packs of cigarettes. A Flum Float has 400 milligrams, which is equivalent to 18 packs. And an Elf Bar has 650 milligrams, or 30 packs of cigarettes. No matter the device, these products contain a lot of nicotine, high enough to quickly get young users addicted and keep them coming back. And it's not just vapes that are getting popular with youth. Products like Zyn pouches, nicotine gum, lozenges, tablets, and even toothpicks are being used too. Zyn and other oral nicotine pouches have really taken off in the last couple of years, especially with teens. The Healthy Kids Colorado survey added a question about these products this year, so we'll have more data on it by next summer. So even though we've seen some statewide drops in youth tobacco use, the reality is that many young people are still getting access to these products, and not all groups are seeing the same progress. While vaping has gone down overall, the tobacco industry keeps rolling out new products to keep people hooked. This graph shows data from the Healthy Kids Colorado survey in 2021 and 2023. Blue represents our region, Region 10 in 2021. Red is our region again with the latest data from 2023, and yellow is a state average from 2023. So I pulled a few key questions from the survey. Have you ever used a vape? You can see that 35.4% of high schoolers in Region 10 answered yes, which is 1% more than the previous survey data and 5.4% more than the state average. Next question. Have you tried to buy tobacco or vaping products in a store and not been refused? The latest survey results showed that 87.5% of underage students said that they were not refused because of their age. This is a 10% increase from 2021 and a 3% higher percentage rate, higher than the state average. Next question, how easy do you think it would be to buy a vape? 50.8% of students said that they thought it would be easy to get an electronic vape product, a slight increase from 2021, and still above the state's average results. And then finally, how easy would it be to buy cigarettes? Latest results showed that 40.4% of youth said it would be easy, another slight increase from 2021, and yet again, still above the state's average results. These responses give us a snapshot of what access really looks like for youth in our area. So let me reiterate. 7 out of 8 youth in our region who try to buy a tobacco or nicotine product were not refused because of their age. That is a serious concern. The Healthy Kids Colorado survey makes it clear. Retail access is a major gap in our local prevention efforts. Yes, youth may get these products in other ways, but stores are a point of access we can control. And improving that is where we can make real change. And that's why I'm here today. So what can we do? One step we can take is to create a local tobacco retail license here in Ridgway. Yes, Colorado already has a state license program, But as we've seen in the latest Healthy Kids Colorado survey results, it is not enough. Kids are still getting access to tobacco products, and the state doesn't always reach our small towns for regular compliance checks. A local TRL would let us track and support our own retailers, educate them on the law, and hold them accountable. It's a way for our community to step up and make a real difference. And just so you know, Ridgway has 7 tobacco retailers, and 2 of them failed a state compliance check within the last 6 months. That, along with 87.5% of youth saying that they're not carded, tells us it's time to act locally. A local TRL helps protect youth health and safety by making sure retailers only sell to people of legal age. That means fewer kids getting hooked on tobacco and nicotine, and we know that's a big deal, since these products are the leading cause of preventable death in Colorado. Local TRL laws have shown to lower youth smoking and vaping rates, which is exactly what we want to see. Plus, it supports fair competition when all retailers have to follow the same rules. It keeps things fair and helps prevent shady, unlicensed sales that hurt responsible local businesses. Ridgway already requires local and state licenses for marijuana and liquor, so it makes sense to hold tobacco to the same standard. Here's a quick comparison of annual license fees for liquor, marijuana, and tobacco at both state and local levels. You'll see it's normal for retailers to have both licenses. It's just part of doing business when selling potentially addictive products. Ridgway has 7 tobacco retailers. With about $200 per retailer per year, a local tobacco retail license could fund itself completely through fees with no impact on city budget. Our team can help calculate the right fee with this handy cost calculator to figure out the cost and covering administrative costs and the 2 compliance checks a year. For reference, Silverton charges $175 for their TRL, and they have 3 retailers, and Telluride charges $175, and they have 5 retailers. We are not alone in considering a local TRL. Other communities around us already have a local TRL and are considering it just like you guys. Silverton and Telluride, like I've already said, already have theirs, and Mesa County is working towards implementing a local TRL in their communities as well. I've also been discussing with the city of Ouray about passing a similar program. If Ridgway passes this, it'll be part of a growing regional effort, and more communities that join in, the more impact we can make for our youth health and safety. Here are some best practices that make up the basic framework of a local tobacco license policy. So up in the corner, all retailers must get an annual non-transferable local license plus a state license from Colorado's Department of Revenue. Anyone selling tobacco or nicotine products has to be at least 21 years old, which helps reduce underage sales by lowering peer pressure. Retailers must be at least 1,000 feet away from youth-focused places like schools, libraries, parks, and youth centers. The minimum legal sales age is set at 21. License fees should cover the cost of running the program, like education, compliance, and enforcement. If underage sales happen, the business, not the individual, is held responsible. Licenses must be displayed clearly inside the store at all times, and all sales must be clerk assisted, which means no vending machines or self-service.
Sorry, actually, I'll ask you if you're done. Sorry, keep going.
So think of a local tobacco retail license as an umbrella policy. It sets up inspections and compliance checks to reduce underage sales. Under this umbrella, there are extra options you can add to make the policy stronger. This includes things like advertising restrictions, limits on store locations, and capping the number of retailers, clerk age requirements, keeping products behind the counter, and banning price discounts and coupons, since youth are so price sensitive. The council can choose any or all of these options to include in the TRL ordinance in order to strengthen the policy. At the end of the presentation, you can let me know which ones you'd like to include in the draft ordinance. As I mentioned earlier, our neighboring community, Silverton, has a local TRL, and it's a great example of what we could do here in Ridgway. Their TRL includes a cap on their current number of retailers. We all have a role to play. One of our community's goals should be to prevent nicotine addiction and create an environment where using it is not the norm. As policymakers, you have the power to make that happen through strong, effective public health policies, and you're not alone. Your public health partners are here to support schools with education and quit programs, promote free quit resources even for pregnant women, run public awareness campaigns, and work with you to implement and enforce local policy. To sum it up, youth are still using and accessing tobacco and nicotine products, and it's becoming more common here in Region 10 compared to the rest of the state. State efforts are not cutting it. Kids are still getting their hands on these products. So simply, Ridgway should think about implementing a local retail license to help close the gaps in the state's rules and better protect our youth from these highly enticing and highly addictive products. So it is my recommendation that the town of Ridgway consider a tobacco retail license ordinance to help protect local youth while also supporting fair business practices. Our next steps could include making youth tobacco and nicotine use a town council priority for the year. We can start the ball rolling and getting a draft ordinance created. I can provide public health best practice draft ordinance language to town staff by mid to late August that is tailored to our unique community and code, and incorporating the strengthening strategies that you guys are interested in. And then we can either schedule a second work session for more discussion or set up a first ordinance reading later this summer. Before moving forward, I'd just like to check, does council support exploring this further and taking these next steps?
Yeah.
I absolutely.
Yeah, I support it. I have a couple concerns, but I support overall the idea of it.
And just something that I was speaking with my husband about this, and he was like, oh yeah, definitely getting everybody over 18 or under 18 to not smoke. And I was like, wait, the smoking age is 21. Just so we're all on the same page. It's 21 and up is.
Sure, my concern though is this thing about requiring the employee to be a minimum of 21. Because I think that really unfairly penalizes like the local gas stations and like places that are already struggling to have employees. I was reading the Silverton ordinances, and Silverton did not enact that specific piece of this puzzle.
How many gas stations are operating though with just someone who is under 21 working alone?
I don't know. Do you know?
I mean, I actually think I actually like that provision. I think the peer pressure thing is real.
But I think then that's like if that's the whole reason we're doing this licensing, I think it's a great idea to like license the tobacco selling establishments, require license because it helps with the checks. Because then it's up to the business entity to make sure they're doing the proper training and the proper repercussions. If they're 18, 19, 20-year-old employees selling to underage people,
They get fined.
they get fined and they lose. It's just like if you're selling like alcohol to underage people, you get fined, you lose your liquor license for X amount of time, all the things. They make it financially hurt the business that way, and they'll get way stricter on making sure their employees are following the rules. I just don't think it's town council's place to say, sorry, Conoco, you can't hire anyone under 21, because if they're on the floor alone, they can't sell products.
The state already does that though with serving alcohol.
Yes.
Like you can't pour alcohol if you're not 21.
Well,
that's another thing, but
this is another case of, I think, where we don't need to get in the weeds right now. We're gonna, Becca will provide staff with draft language. Staff can come up with it themselves. We can talk about this when we get to that point. I personally don't think it's that big a deal either way. And I think the difference between the gas stations selling tobacco and bars having bartenders is that's a big difference. So I don't know that it's certainly not something we need to decide tonight. So
I like the idea though.
Right.
Yeah, and I just want to add that Carolyn Dressler, who's here in the audience, longtime supporter of tobacco restrictions and trying to eliminate the impacts of tobacco on our youth, and not to mention our entire population. I've met with Becca a couple of times about this, and I think this is really important that we move forward with this. So we can work out the little details, but
The statistics on the amount of nicotine in those products is like.
That was my point. I actually did not know that.
Alarming. Yeah. that's-
Preying on these children, it's just ridiculous. Like, oh, we can't sell cigarettes, we'll just repackage it.
and beyond that, there was a session in here a couple of years ago. Carolyn, we were here, that a woman from the state came in and demonstrated all the ways that kids are like they make hoodies that where the drawstring of the hoodie is actually connected to a vape, and they can like in class they can.
They took like the bathroom doors off in the middle school last year because some of the upperclassmen were seeking out in the middle school bathrooms and vaping in the bathroom cells. So they just took the doors off for a while. I mean, it's definitely an issue. Like
It's just crazy. So I thank you for the effort you guys have put into this, Victoria, you as well. I definitely think council is 100% behind this, and we can work out all the gold details as we get to it. Any other public comment?
Ask the Zoom people.
Yeah, public comment either in the room or on Zoom.
I meant the council people on Zoom.
Anybody?
No comment. I'm in complete support of continuing this discussion and exploring this.
So Mayor, if I can offer from.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, yeah, I mean, we have direction to move the initiative ahead. I just want to, I'd be remiss if I didn't remind everyone, we have a set in stone work plan and strategic plan. We're coming up on the budget process for 2026. So you can certainly work with Becca and Ridgway County Public Health Agency. I don't know that the timeline depicted in the slide will work considering all the other work initiatives we have going on. We have the housing needs assessment and open houses coming up. We have the recreational amenities at the athletic park with some meetings and opening houses coming up. And so this, I think, deserves some devoted outreach and meetings and such. I just want to make sure everyone is aware that that timeline may not work considering our current work plan, but we have the direction we need to add it on there and forge ahead in an appropriate way.
Carolyn.
Thank you, Becca. That was completely terrific and completely supportive. Carolyn, you could come up for the people who can't hear you.
And I don't know, Becca, did we cut you off before you finished?
Thank you so much.
Carolyn Dressler, a long-term tobacco control advocate, and very supportive of this plan and very grateful for what you presented. The only thing that I would say, Preston, is that we were at this point about 3 years ago, and again, it was suggested because of the workload and issues in strategic planning that it would be put off until October as the strategic planning with budget issues, and then it went there and stopped. And so we've been through this for about 5 years now. And I'm just wondering, with that great presentation that Becca just did, if we actually can move forward, because there are very good templates that are out there. You've done it already in Avon when you were there before. So I think that this is something that we really hopefully can move forward with in Ridgway. Thank you.
Thanks, Carolyn. Anyone else? Okay. Well, yeah, staff has direction. It's your huge pile of things and we'll get to it when we can.
So just for clarification, you're not saying it's hinging on the budgeting process. You're saying it's a workload issue and it will be in place and get be important.
Yeah, I mean, well, Mayor Clark hit the nail on the head. I mean, we add it to the list. Again, it underscores the importance of work planning and the strategic planning process during the budget, because things like this come up during the course of the year. And what's the opportunity cost? What isn't going to advance because something like this comes up? Carolyn's exactly right. In the past years, this has come up, but ultimately didn't make its way onto the strategic plan. And we have the town board that sits through a lot of really intensive budget meetings and strategic planning sessions to formulate that work plan, right? And so I can't talk today as to why or not, whether or not that made it on there, or why it did or why it didn't. But I mean, there's always long lists of stuff, capital projects, initiatives that are difficult to prioritize given here. So I just want to give some perspective on that.
I was just asking, is it possible to give it any kind of priority now, or we have to wait till that process?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, staff's recommendation is always going to be, I don't want to be a broken record, but it underscores the importance of setting the work plan and sticking to that work plan. We're working our way through that stuff. If council wants to provide direction to drop some stuff, stop on some stuff and do this, that's fine.
Like the recreational park could go on hold and then we could do this. I'm sure that'll be popular.
But
The point is, like, October and December, we spent many, many hours choosing what was the priority this year for us.
Right.
I think, but read you loud and clear that this is an item that should be prioritized for future work planning sets and perhaps advance sooner rather than later, perhaps in the latter part of 2025, given everything we have going on. We just spent half the meeting talking about the Beaver Creek Diversion Project, which is taking up 98 of well, 98% of Joanne's time and 99% of mine, so.
So what needs to happen? Because I think my apologies that several years ago, it got dropped in the strategic planning process during budgeting. But Preston, I'm sure you have notes being made somewhere on what things need to go onto that list. And if we can make sure that that happens, so we can appropriately figure out how this fits into our next cycle of things that are happening to remind us all in October, that would be great.
Yeah, that's well said, and that's where it goes on that list. I mean, Becca just gave a great presentation, but it goes beyond just enacting an ordinance. You have to put the licensing program in place. There's administration that needs to take place, outreach, enforcement, consistent enforcement if you're gonna have a program like that. And so there's a lot of elements to it, right? I mean, we only have how many? 7 vendors? Yeah, but so it's just a lot of pieces to think about, but then I heard what you're saying, and that's what I'm getting at. We'll have it on the list.
John.
Let me add one more thing, because this was something, I'm on the state board for tobacco festivals. We're the only state in the country that has made it legal to have 10 legal tobacco festivals in the country. So, which is pretty amazing. And so a proposal that only FDA authorized or legal products could be presented there, and that was turned down. So know that our state people who do these enforcement checks, that we heard 2 of them in the past 6 months didn't, they will not regulate against those ELF bars, the any of the ones that are not legally authorized. So if you go into our different venues that sell electronic cigarettes, the overwhelming majority of them are not legal for sale, but they are not being enforced against through our state. Just an interesting thing that we actually could do here.
But again, that points out that
There's a lot of work to be
the
done.
weight on the town staff and the marshal's department and the enforcement, if it falls on us, it's gonna be a whole nother ball of wax. I mean, I think, you know, it's obvious what you're hearing is that Preston, that council is really supportive of this. We'd like to move forward as quickly as we can, but we're totally conscious of how many other things we have on our priority list. And we gotta make it work and not have it be a huge drain on our resources, so.
Well, and not to just do it half-assed and not have an enforcement arm, right, to actually do it right.
Right.
Well, and thinking, you know, we want to make sure we're providing direction on what is being deprioritized for this versus just saying prioritize this, and then not providing that direction.
Yeah, that was Preston's point. Like, what do you want me to take off my priority list? If you want me to prioritize this. So,
Right.
yeah, good point, Beth.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay, talk about it in October.
any other comments? Council, public? All right, moving right along to policy matters, we have, we have one more under public requests. Wait a minute. Dana came in late and missed public comments. Dana, you want an opportunity to make your public comment? I don't want to make you feel like you weren't heard.
It's ironic that you're putting a lot of emphasis on tobacco when I'm trying to get an idling ordinance passed, which is about the same thing. It's your lungs, it's your kids' lungs, it's everybody's lungs. So I did come in here, I don't know how many months ago, and presented this 5 pages to you guys. It went nowhere. This was from the Sustainability Committee. And I've talked to Preston about what I can do to get this pushed through. And he suggested that I literally have a resolution written out, and that's what I've got written out. It's the one from the SALT, which I think is very comprehensive. And,
Dana, it is disingenuous to compare a tobacco ordinance presentation to action on this item.
Really?
Yes, it is. I fully support you. This is in the same position where it requires enforcement. You are currently hijacking
about people's lungs.
presentation.
And I care about people's
Trying to read
homes. I'm not trying to compare it.
I mean, I'm just trying to make sure people get her. She's gonna present this really quickly. She showed up on time. We started the regular meeting. Okay,
You know, I'll just do it another time. I'm sorry. I'll do it another time, but honestly, I'm not comparing anything. I'm just saying, if you care about children's lungs, you should care about idling. Because it's really bad for lungs. And it's,
Dana, we care about that. That was,
I'm
that's
not trying to mean anybody in tobacco. I hate tobacco. Please, don't try to present it
Okay,
in a bad light.
all right,
It's not a
it's-
bad light.
it's
Maybe
okay.
you guys can just read the ordinance and you can go forward. with
We will,
it.
Dana, thank you.
The other thing, I'm just gonna have to say this one other thing though. I was on the garbage duty for the last festival. And I don't understand why the vendors they aren't all required to have compostable.
We're working on that.
I mean, because it was so confusing, like I was told
I know.
to throw away certain cups from a certain vendor, and then she came out and said, oh no, my cups are completely compostable, so
I
it's a
understand.
real mess. And
Yeah, I understand.
I just think that would really make a big difference. Also, I don't understand, we did pass it, I thought, the sustainability committee passed, I don't know what to say, just a requirement that the town used, aluminum cups, and there were no aluminum cups out there either, so I don't know, just nobody cares.
I can explain that later. It's a shift at the last.
Right, thank you, I'm sorry I messed up your.
It's okay,
It's okay. You didn't mess anything up.
Okay, thank you.
Dana.
All right. Okay, back to item number 11, request to close public rights of way for the annual Noel night on Friday, December 5th. Mishi's name is on this, but I don't know if she's online or.
On that map, I haven't been here, I'm new to this, so I'm just putting it out there. Do we need to close the state highway? Couldn't we do it within our town streets? Wouldn't that be safer, and is that a
The
possibility?
parade's been really fun to have on highway, because otherwise all those businesses get excluded.
Okay.
from it.
It's been on the, it's been on the
Historical
highway
feedback.
forever.
Okay.
Businesses.
Thanks.
The thing I like about the map is that last year the map route was, it was a problem because it led it back to the highway when the
Yeah,
first
that
part
was
of
this year, yeah.
the parade hadn't finished yet, so there was a backup and it went the wrong way down Clinton. We didn't catch it. I feel bad because we didn't catch it when it was first, we permitted it earlier in the year. So she's fixed it for this year, so that's good. And yeah, traditionally, we've always had to go down.
Okay.
A little bit. And again, as Josie said, it's in front of us along there. People are gathered along all the streets, but I think it's fine. But Pam, are you willing to take this on, or I guess we can just.
I can tell you, I know as much as you do.
Right.
We can review it together, and
Right.
then I can relate anything that is kind of related to Nishi.
The application has actually, so, yeah, I guess we'll just start with, everybody's got the permit in your packet, the application. Does anybody have any other questions? Michelle brought up the map, and I think we answered that.
Looks good to me.
That's good. I think it's the same as last year, just the better map. Great.
Better parade route for sure. Any questions from Kevin or Terry or Beth?
no.
Looks good to me.
You all good with it? All right.
Yep.
Any questions in the audience? Concerns? All right. All we need is a motion.
I move to approve the application for the special event permit for the Ridgway Area Chamber of Commerce for Noel Night from 5 to 7 p.m. As the route on the map.
A second.
Okay. Motion by Josie, Polly, second by Josie. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Scrambley,
Aye.
Berger,
True, yeah.
Montague.
Yep.
Yeah. Skylar,
Aye.
Sorry.
Bill,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lincoln.
Aye.
All right, thank you. Passes unanimously. Okay, that takes us to policy matters. Item number 12 is a release of subdivision improvements agreement for Vista Park Commons. Preston.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So Council, you're asked to consider releasing the subdivision improvement agreement and the associated irrevocable letter of credit for the Vista Park Commons subdivision, the east side of town. The town entered into a subdivision improvement agreement with the developer of Park Commons subdivision in 2023. The majority of the terms of the agreement have been met, but there are a few things to note. The final CAD files for the record drawings need to be, well, they have been provided to the town. They need to get to Joyce, our engineer, to make sure they meet our standard specifications. And then final invoices for engineer and attorney services need to be paid before the release is finalized.
I have a question.
Right.
Am I assuming that any landscaping requirements are completed? I bring this up, because of a different project over at the Wetterhorn project. It's, there were trees put in that weren't fenced. Some of the trees have died. I'm just wondering if that's something that we review before we sign off on these kind of things.
Right, everything that's accounted for in that outstanding list on the subdivision improvement agreement is reviewed. There's site visits and everything. Wetterhorn is probably not the best example since it was the town's very first go at an affordable for sale housing project, and we did a lot of things out of order, fast tracked it, right? So I hear what you're saying, but long story short, yes, we verify that all that stuff has been done.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That's it, yeah.
I have some concerns about their drainage and their permeable quote from the agreement, item number 5, permeable paving for parking lot. It's not permeable paving, it's gravel. And it is full of water every time it rains, and standing water. Is it not supposed to be a that runs down? Is that an accurate number?
It's flatter than that, as I recall.
Yeah, well,
But it was supposed to be stuff like with that. And we transitioned from my review to somebody else doing it.
okay,
So I don't know what went in.
it's gravel.
Well, I mean, it's gravel, but the depth of the gravel and the divider and all that.
Yeah,
And whether there's a system underneath it.
Yeah, there's what do you call those? Geotextile stuff. There's a lot of that under there too, which is a big chunk of the cost, but I was not aware that there's standing water.
there's standing water, and it happens every time it rains, and it's for days and days after it rains. And West Nile has been found in Colorado, and I would like to keep it out of Erie County, if possible. And that is something that I have pretty major concerns about before releasing them from any agreements. And it backs up also selfishly into where I live.
Oh, it's understandable.
Yeah.
So if I may, I think President has done a really good job of presenting this agenda item. This is not the first time that this issue has been before the town council. Remember, there was a partial release earlier this year. We're relying on the review of the town engineer at Joyce, who's basically done the analysis and indicated that she's comfortable with the release. She's not here. But one of the things that I think that could be considered is that, no, we're not gonna do the release. We have these concerns. We're going to do the release, but we want staff to follow up on this concern with respect to the gravel grading and semi-permeable surface, and maybe giving direction in that regard. Again, Joyce is not here, so I don't want to speak for her, but I think that it's an assumption. So for whatever it's worth, if there was additional work, we would feel like there's other mechanisms, possibly other mechanisms for enforcement with this development team. And it probably wouldn't be based on the concerns that you've raised, sufficient to hold up the letter of credit just based on the cost.
So recommendation is to advise to what?
Yeah, cool. I mean, it's your guys' choice, and if it's a serious issue, which I understand, certainly we can go back to the development.
But yeah, the engineer, Joyce, our engineer's been out there with Joe Nelson on several site visits and verified that these outstanding items were done in a way that met the civil plans and other documents in place. So, I mean, we can follow up, and I don't know if it's just a matter of having it characterized incorrectly on the list, or if it was missed or anything like that. We can be happy to follow up. So, taking direction from council at this point.
Can we do a proposed motion that includes those two items in the summary, plus making sure that the town verifies that the or the permeable, whatever, is following? Or, well, you just said Joyce.
That it drains adequately is what I hope.
Yeah, just that it drains adequately, right?
Yeah,
Because if we're already saying that we still need the CAD thing.
Yeah,
still need the
you
final
make it
letter,
another condition.
just make an extra third
Yeah.
assumption that they also need to make sure the drainage is adequate.
Third condition, exactly.
I actually would disagree with making that a condition, because fixing drainage, if it's actually a problem, that's not just delivery of a document, that's fixing a larger issue of drainage.
That's true.
That's true. But I mean,
we
have the
can-
town already approved the drainage they put in 2 years ago? I mean, it would seem we probably have, right? So what recourse do we have to go back to years later?
That's,
They
yeah.
did 2 years ago, we've already approved.
Right. Well, I mean, this is a mechanism here.
Right.
So,
Well, it's a tough one. We have our choices in front of us. We can deny the request to release. Based on wanting the drainage to be fixed, we can ask staff to follow up and try to make sure the drainage is fixed after the fact. Those, as I heard Bo explain, are basically the two choices that were best.
We could continue this for the August meeting. The one thing that's an option, and I don't feel comfortable doing it, would be a partial release, but we just don't know what that would look like without any sort of analytics from the town engineer, and the developer is not here either to address those concerns.
Right. Without the.
I think
engineer
I
or-
would like to table it and just have Joyce go do some fact gathering.
It has to rain. It probably
Fair.
might rain before the August meeting.
yeah, we can have, if everyone's in agreement with that, we can have Joyce and hopefully a member of the development team here for the next meeting, and some additional site visits if needed, if something's been inspected incorrectly or characterized incorrectly on here.
I think I agree with that, just because neither party is here for us to ask questions of.
There is a number 7 in
I
there.
don't know, maybe I'm taking your report that there's standing water, like, I don't know, like, I don't wanna.
Yeah, I just don't live there and drive past it.
I believe you, but you know what I mean, like, we don't have to here to ask for.
I've sent
development.
pictures to Kristen.
Sorry.
I've sent photos to you in the past of that water standing.
The water in the parking lot.
If we were to give staff direction to follow up on it, there is an item 7 dispute resolution that's built into this.
Number 7 dispute, so.
Yeah. So. I mean, that presumes that the agreement itself has been kind of completed, so. I think the better option would be to table it. That's the direction.
I would entertain a motion to table this.
I move to table the discussion of the release of subdivision improvement agreement for Vista Park Commons until more information is gathered.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion by Polly, second by Beth. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Graham,
Aye.
Kroger,
Aye.
Montague,
Aye.
Skylar,
Aye.
Scoville,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lakin.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. That brings us to the MOU between town and Ridgway Chautauqua about the film fest. I have a conflict in that I'm on the board of the Ridgway Chautauqua. And so I'm not sure whether that rises to the level of needing to recuse myself or not. Considering I don't get to vote unless there's a tie, it's probably relatively.
I would prefer that you just, because of your intimidating presence, get away from the.
All right, that, take it away. Or do we want somebody in the room there? I think
I would rather someone in the room do it. That's my feel on that.
Michelle has volunteered to do it, so.
I need to get back to the item just a moment.
You already introduced it earlier, just reading the agenda item, but it's before you all as a memorandum of understanding between the town and the Chautauqua Society. If you all remember, a number of months ago, staff got the direction to develop a partnership with the Sherbino for management and production of the Ridgway Independent Film Festival. So the MOU before you sets out the terms and conditions under which the festival will be managed and produced, and under which the town will allocate monies to support those operations. And so you can see in the memo, or not memo, the MOU, the Sherbino will take a leading role, but the town will maintain a big role as well with a substantial financial contribution and various support functions.
Did you write this?
The
MOU.
MOU. I believe Tara and Ashley King
Okay.
gave a go at drafting a lot of the substance in here. We helped them put it into the correct form. Yeah.
And you're good with it?
Yes.
I guess, does anybody have any comments on the council?
I've got some questions. It's mostly financial. I just want to make sure that we are able to get a line item rundown on exactly what that $17,000 is being spent on. Just so we can have that. That's something that I would like to include in this MOU. Is there an agreement with the director of the festival?
It says the Sherbino agrees to fiscal sponsorship, and the final clause in that bullet point is ensure financial transparency.
Mm-hmm. And I read that. I just want like line items.
Well, in this MOU, like, are we saying, is this, you're saying we'll give 17,000 every single year? Is this just for this?
This
year?
is this
Just for this.
Okay, just making
This
sure.
year's.
This year's amount, okay.
And I think part of coming back to the town, because I'm assuming we would like them to become self-sustaining, but we're not going to drop them off a cliff from 17,000 to 0 in a year. So part of making that request will be, if you would like to continue to have town funding, it's probably going to require that sort of line by line bit, Polly. If it actually, what would be lovely is if it could be in a similar format to how we've received it from Ariel in the last year, so that we can compare how things have changed.
Exactly. And then my other question, or I guess two more questions, is what's the plan for any donations that weekend? Are those donations going back to the Sherbino, or will those donations be going to RIF? Because
That's a big difference.
that's a huge difference.
Yeah, it's historically.
Again, I would assume they're going into the restricted account managed by the Sherbino.
That was my assumption, but.
I mean, I guess, Polly, would it make you feel better basically to insert that line by line accounting bit to the fiscal sponsorship line? Because I think all of what you're saying is implied.
Yes, it is all implied, but I want it in black and white.
Yeah, because that was something we discussed at the meeting a few months ago
Yeah.
about like the funding going back to RIF to help it be self-sustaining.
Exactly.
So we didn't have to keep putting a bunch of money into it, because then the money they're getting should be going to having RIF do it the next year, not Sherbino having that money. Like, it doesn't need to be a dedicated account.
Exactly.
That's that part actually I feel okay with, maintaining a restricted account to manage the festival finances. Like
Yes, I love that.
the actual question of how much oversight of those line by line does town get? I mean, it kind of goes with, as long as town is providing headlining sponsorship.
Yeah.
But we don't ask for line by line from ski touring when they ask for money. We don't ask line by line of, you know, Minerva West. Like at some point, really, this becomes a council contribution, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, and keep in mind, this is just a pilot, so that it can come out of, from under the umbrella of the town and continue to grow, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I remember that conversation, so,
Yeah, the hope is we actually have less oversight and less.
yeah, that's certainly, some skin in the game.
Just for the first year, I want to make sure that those monies are being used for actually what it's intended for and not other areas. And then is there any sort of agreement with Ariel, with the director of the RIF?
That's, wouldn't be the spirit of, it's coming from out of the umbrella of the town. It would be going to the Sherman Oak to, for all management production. So that would be between REL and the Sherman Oak.
Good stuff. Cool.
And it does say in here under that fiscal sponsorship line that they'd be maintaining a restricted account,
Yes.
so.
Oh, yeah. And I know that. I just want to make sure, like I want to make sure that the donations for RIF go to RIF. And no negative towards the Sherman. I think the Sherman is an incredible organization. Chautauqua is obviously incredible for town and everything. I just want to make sure they have their own slice of the pie.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with this knowing you.
Is there any public comment?
I agree, Polly, for the first year. I mean, the example of ski touring and other activities was brought up. This is the first year. And, you know, they've moved to the new financial model. You know, hopefully it'll be much better organized this year. And I definitely think it should. And it's not just for the town's benefit, that's for the benefit of the festival.
Exactly.
So that they are forced to do that accounting if they're not already gonna do it. I think it's a real.
Any other public comment? Anyone on Zoom? I guess we are now ready for a motion.
I move we approve the MOU by and between the town of Ridgway and the Ridgway Chautauqua Society regarding the collective partnership for the management and production of the Ridgway Independent Film Festival this year.
I second.
Does that include
Carrie, I
any of
think.
the suggested, the donations and the line by line?
Yeah, I mean,
Just because that needs to.
yeah, I mean, I guess ensuring that maintaining a restricted account to manage festival finances includes not just finances, but also donations, right?
Are you comfortable seconding that, Terry?
Yes.
With that addition? Great.
Did you get all that, Pam?
I really got more of the items you were talking about prior and then to the motion.
All I'm saying is that in the
so I think
fiscal
you just got
sponsorship
that
line.
together. All those things got run together, okay.
Yeah, just saying the restricted account that manages festival finances also includes all of the donations for RIF.
Okay.
Which it should, but just to make sure that that's a clarified line item.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, the donations checks are written to RIF, not to Sherman.
Okay, yeah, so then it should be very clear, yeah.
Well, and it's also though part of how they want to donate, right? Like it's part of how that gets communicated.
I think we're ready for a vote. Roll call vote.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmembers Grambling,
I'm going to recuse myself from this vote.
Kroger,
Aye.
Montague,
Aye.
Skylar,
Aye.
Scoville,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lincoln.
Aye.
John, you can come back.
Okay. Tell them the result, or do we?
No, you can read the minutes next month.
Thank you. All right, Taking us to number 14, update and staff recommendation regarding the Affordable Housing Services Administrator solicitation process. Preston.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So the staff report gives a recap on how we've gotten to this point. So I'll skip over some of the earlier pieces of the timeline and how we got to this point, but an updated RFP was, we got to a point where we issued an RFP, didn't suffice, so we redrafted the RFP, reissued, and proposals were due on May 29th. We only received one proposal, and that was from Home Trust Uray County. When I say we, I mean the three jurisdictions. The county handled the solicitation process, so the Home Trust Uray County was the only proposer in response to that solicitation. And on June 12th, the Uray City Administrator, myself, and the interim Uray County Manager interviewed Andrea Sokolowski, who's the Executive Director of Home Trust Uray County, to learn more about the Home Trust experience and qualifications as they relate to the requested scope of services. And based on the proposal and the results of the interview, it was clear, in my opinion, that Home Trust Uray County has little experience with many of the duties and services identified within the requested scope of services. And that certainly wasn't a shocker by any means, but it was a great proposal and a really good interview nonetheless. So the administrators of the three jurisdictions do feel comfortable recommending that a service contract be put into place between the three jurisdictions. Again, the City of Uray, Town of Ridgway, and Uray County, and the Home Trust Uray County for a trial run, a 1-year trial run. And the total to be split between the jurisdictions for the 1-year service contract would be just north of $100,000. And then it's important to note that Uray County received a local planning capacity grant from DOLA to support the project. That grant award, if I remember right, it's $192,000, and certainly will help offset the out-of-pocket costs for all the jurisdictions. And so if at this point, this item is more of an update and request for direction, but if the governing bodies of all three jurisdictions are in agreement about proceeding with the drafting of a services contract, we can aim to have something ready for everyone to consider, perhaps at the August town council meeting, at least for us, and however it works for the city and the county. The IGA that we have in place currently is pretty clear about solicitation, procurement, contracting needing to be done in a way that meets the Uray County Policy and Procedure Manual for purchasing and contracting. And so either county administrative or legal representatives are working to draft that contract for everyone to review now. So at this point, again, I mentioned this, we're looking for some direction on how to proceed.
Did you say that the cost for the first year was 100,000 and Uray got a grant for 192,000?
Uray County was awarded a grant and the amount of 192,000, and I can't remember exactly how the grant application was structured and what the request was for, but yes, obviously the grant amount is well above what the quoted amount was from the proposer.
And do you remember how much time there was to spend that grant amount?
Jake has his hand up, Preston.
Oh, Jake has his hand up.
Oh, maybe he knows.
Go ahead, Jake.
I do know that grant is for a period of 2 years.
And that first 100,000 will be paid by Uray County, or is it still split between the three entities?
In theory, I mean, we have to put a services contract in place, but the thought was to split it up among the jurisdictions, but we haven't pinpointed exactly what the appropriate split would be, given, we have deed restricted units that need to be administered. The city has their own. Uray County doesn't, I don't think they have as many or any at all as we do. And there's other pieces in that scope of work that we're all collectively working towards. So it's a long-winded way of saying, it'd be nice if we just split it 3 ways, but would that be the fairest? Maybe not. We need to look at that.
So more will be revealed.
Yeah.
I will say though that the grant application was filled out for the purpose of hiring a housing services administrator. And although the details haven't been settled yet, as Preston said, the three governments will work out those details. The intention is to use this grant for that housing services administrator, and not making any, can't make any promises until there's ink on the paper, but the intention is to use that full grant amount for the housing services administrator. So it would make sense to cover most or all of the costs of the municipalities in addition to the costs for the county. That's the intention.
Thanks, Jake.
Great, that's helpful. So it sounds to me like what you're looking for is generally direction on whether we're comfortable with going with the home trust as the only applicant for his position.
Correct.
I just had one question on term withdrawal, item D. Any party may terminate this agreement with or without cause upon 30 days written notice to the other parties. Would that, what's the financial responsibility of the other two parties then? I am looking at attachment 1, item 3, term withdrawal, item B.
Page 5 and 6. It
It's
starts at the bottom of page 5 and goes to page 6.
Item B specifically. I just want to make sure that, you know, if and I don't think this is going to happen. Jake, I'm just using you as an example because you're here. If the county is like, actually, we don't want to do this anymore, and they just pull out, what's the financial responsibility of the town and the city? Would we then be splitting that 50-50? Would we be, do we know? I mean, I don't think that's gonna happen, but I just want to make sure that we're not spending people's monies.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just depends. I mean, I'm just trying to read the initial term and renewal. I mean, largely revolves around it automatically renewing from any given year. But your questions about if someone arbitrarily decides to withdraw, I mean, I think it might depend on how we put that service contract in place.
Yeah, that's correct. So there's the IGA among the partners. We need to have that term paper compliant so that we don't have a multi-year fiscal obligation. But if there was a withdrawal, it would follow up with respect to the remaining partners and the underlying contract. So probably what we need to do is with the home trust is make sure that if that trigger happens, it carries forward to the next contract.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
That's a good point.
Thank you.
So everybody comfortable with going with the home trust? It seems like
Yes.
we don't actually have a whole lot of choices, options. So I think that's the direction from council. Anybody here in the room or on Zoom have questions or comments? Okay, do you need more than that, Preston?
We're good, thank you.
Okay. All right, that takes us to item number 15, which is the resolution number 2507, supporting public lands with my name on it. As you're all aware, there was a scary couple of weeks there where in the federal budget process, Senator from Utah was proposing that a whole bunch of public land just be put up for sale as part of the reconciliation bill. Fortunately, there was enough public pressure that he withdrew that. That doesn't mean that the potential risk is not still there. So I think it's still worth passing this resolution, but you've all got the resolution in front of you. Does anybody have any questions about it?
Thank you for writing this.
Yeah. Question.
If I may make just a public comment and you may go.
Sure.
So I really appreciate you putting this together, Mayor. Yeah, it was Senator Mike Lee out of Utah that had this as part of the big, beautiful bill. And I don't really want to get into federal politics, but it was really scary because there's 3.2 million acres that were potentially up for sale with no plan for disposition or anything like that. or how the management would occur. But the whole state of Montana was left out because they needed those two senators to vote for the big bill. So like, kind of even federal land disposition aside, like just need to make sure that there's a plan. And so I think that this is a good thing.
Thanks.
Thanks, Bo.
Thanks, Bo.
All right, any other comments from the public either in the room or on Zoom?
I move to approve resolution number 2507.
Second.
She beats you to it, Kevin.
That's all right.
Motion made by Terry, seconded by Polly. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Graham,
Aye.
Kroger,
Aye.
Montague.
Aye.
Skylar,
Aye.
Scoville,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lakin.
Aye.
Great, thank you. That passes unanimously. That brings us to item number 16, discussion and direction regarding a letter of intent for the, or is it a letter of interest? Anyway, a letter of intent for the local implementation, mitigation, and policy action, otherwise known as the Local Impact Accelerator Grant Opportunity. I've been privy, as is Terry, to a lot of back and forth between Eco Action Partners and several of us over the last couple of days, but this is an incredible opportunity, grant money wise. So Preston, take it away.
Actually, Mayor, there's supporting materials in the packet. Hopefully you had a chance to look.
Everybody should
read them over, but I'm gonna let Terry briefly talk about the opportunity on behalf of the Sustainability Advisory Board.
Great, take it away, Terry.
Okay, well, the background information is pretty descriptive. Like John said, it's a great opportunity before us. There's a couple rounds. We're choosing to focus on the first round based on, our experience with grant funding coming and going as well. If we reach terms satisfactory to the council in the LOI, it gives us some background information to bring to our budget cycle. The actual proposal would be written by Eco Action Partners. They have a grant-funded person, Siobhan, who some of you may have met in some of these meetings, who is being funded by a grant to support the municipalities in writing grants like this. So Eco Action Partners, and Kim is on the call too if we have any questions about that. But they're taking the lead with taking our thoughts and ideas from the Sustainability Advisory Board, putting it into the letter of intent, which has, as you can see, 3-tier proposed structure, all of which are somewhat interconnected. But the first is looking at an electric required building code application. This is the stretch goal that we have with the upcoming code adoption for all electric. The stretch goal being, at a time to be determined in the future that we'd require all new construction to go more than just all electric ready, but actually go go all electric, with the idea that they're aiming at a net zero goal. That would be in what is considered the constrained budget bucket. The next bucket is the standard budget, which is a stretch. It's 4 times that, which would then look at funding to actually go through and implement the begin to implement the terms of the resolution that the council passed a few months ago regarding the town's municipal electric accounts going totally net zero, or going all electric first as a pathway to net zero. So this would fund hiring a consultant, likely an energy service performance contractor, to go through and assist the SAB in the efforts that the SAB is already beginning to map out for looking at inventorying all of the energy use appliances in the town municipal buildings and coming up with not only a replacement schedule and attrition schedule, but a budget, and then possibly funding some pilot retrofits in this first standard budget piece. And then the stretch goal, or what they call the vision budget, would be the summation of this. So if the first goal is to implement an all electric code, the second is to make strides towards the town going net zero as an example to the town community. The third stretch goal would be having an all electric energy use only gets you to net zero if you can offset it by the use of renewables. And this would be looking at trying to find funding to fulfill some of the plans that we had in the Green Street Sustainability Park Master Plan to put in, facilitate SMPA's putting in the larger array, which is subject to negotiation for the Totally Green program, but more importantly, funding to allow for the other 5 solar systems that were outlined in the town's master plan that could then support the notion of having already gone all electric, then being able to offset that with renewables. So it's all 3 of these tiers are somewhat interrelated, with the the vision goal being sort of the big prize. Now, of course, what this does for the town is that this is a fairly big lift in terms of the need for internal resources and versus contracted resources. Eco Action Partners is willing to support the entire process of not only applying for the grant, applying for the various stages of the grant. First, there's an LOI, then there's a full grant, but then being contracted to effectively manage a lot of the detailed contracting. This isn't to say that there's not going to be a need for internal staff resources to manage the contractors, which is the usual pressure on Preston and staff to bring on another large project. But we have numerous outs. So we've got a number of different dates to fulfill. We've got the letter of intent. We have a full application, and then we have the award, which might be in December, and then there's a contract negotiation term. So there's plenty of opportunity for this to come before council in a staged way to vet the level of commitment, the level of burden on the town, as well as the required 5% matching, which in the scale of things that the first, what's it called? The fiscally constrained budget would require the town put up $25K. The second standard budget, should we be awarded that full amount, would require $100K of contribution. And the vision budget would require $250K. That's assuming that we were awarded the full amounts. So this gives us some numbers to look at during our budget process and some ideas about how to prioritize this. The SAB is in full support of going forward with this under the guise that you got to play to win. You don't win anything unless you apply for it. So let's go ahead and recommend that the town go forward with allowing Eco Action Partners the ability to assist us in going down this path of initially writing the LOI, which would then come before council in the next meeting for review, and then these strategic stage gates that we would go through in the process of applying for the full amount of money. Any questions? Is that enough of a summary?
Terry, that's amazing.
I'm hugely concerned with this, hugely, and I know this is exactly what I said months ago when you guys, when we approved the thing for all town funded projects to have to be all electric. But I have had so many people, dozens and dozens of people from the community reach out to me, very concerned about the town trying to force an all electric building energy code requirement. And I don't think that this should be like the pie in the sky end goal of this. I'm not against you guys writing for this grant. And I get that there's different pieces that can go into this, but where's the community outreach we've done about what the community actually thinks about these ideas? And I'm hugely concerned that this is like the number one goal on here is adoption of all electric building energy code requirements, when I have heard nothing but negative feedback from community members about this.
Well, it's a good point, and that's what the money in the first tranche is for, is to fund some of that outreach. So there hasn't been any outreach because we haven't begun to even adopt that stretch goal. In fact, the amendment to the code hasn't even been fully sanctified yet. So there's a long pathway before we would be requiring this as a code amendment, and part of the money that we would be looking for would be to go through that very process that you are concerned about, which is to fully vet the projects, come up with all the data, have multiple community outreaches. And of course, that takes time and money. So that's what this grant is for, is to help fund that process.
And the flip side to people individually coming up to you, Josie, and telling you your concern is we haven't had a forum for folks who are supportive of it to give their support as well.
For sure. Like I said months ago, when I said I was concerned of the slippery slope of the town approving it, town funded projects, to all of a sudden requiring anyone in this town to have to, like, say, you were not allowed to have a gas fireplace, you're not allowed to have a.
I mean, well, let's be clear that it's for new construction. Let's be clear. There's a lot of misconceptions.
Terry.
Sorry.
Stop. You're interrupting. Let Josie finish. Thank you. Go ahead.
No, it's just exactly what I said I was concerned about. And this board said, oh, no, this is a completely separate thing. It's exactly what I was concerned about. So.
No, that's not what we said to you, Josie. What we said is this is a resolution saying that we intend to explore the avenue. And the way it was reacted to was as if we were just passing an all electric code amendment without any community input. So yes, we did say, no, there will be more community input. And as Terry is saying, this grant will allow us to have some money to do that.
And as a point of clarification, the all electric code requirement would be for new construction only, would not affect anybody's existing.
I still don't agree with it. I still don't agree with telling people how they can build their homes here. I think
Well,
you can get a lot of people with carrots, say, okay, like, let's incentivize using more electric, let's incentivize these things, but I am not okay.
Well, that's what with this
Yeah, if
process.
part of this grant actually goes to like doing that stakeholder engagement, that's great. I just think we need to really make sure we're doing those stakeholder engagement meetings for a massive code. That's a massive code change.
And that's what this money, that's what this grant would allow us some funding to go through that process.
Okay.
So without that, there's, we're going to be doing it reaching down for our bootstraps to figure out a way to do the research, to come up with the detailed information, to present it to the community, to get the input. So this is a pathway to achieving that process with no guaranteed outcome. So your concerns would be the concerns of others, and that would be balanced by those who are adamantly, in favor of going all electric as a means to getting to net zero. So there's going to be competing inputs, just as there was with Green Street Park, as we expect there would be for anything. But this is effectively a free, and I could say free, in that the effort is mostly funded through other through Eco Action Partners to help put together the application to get funding to go through that process.
So to be clear, this isn't, nobody's proposing we ram an all electric code down anybody's throat. We understand that that's controversial and it's going to take a community-wide discussion to come to agreement on. And we may not agree, we may agree to disagree, but we need a lot more community involvement. I think we all agree about that. So.
And then the standard application, the second tranche of money, is to help fulfill what we've already passed as a resolution for the town municipal accounts to convert to all electric. So that's already in the bag. Now we need a way of, following through with that and turning it into a project. And then the third tranche, the stretch goal would be to come up with a way to then offset the use of that electricity so that we can claim the net zero. So it's an integrated 3-tiered approach. And this is an opportunity to apply for funding to begin to explore that. Otherwise, it's most likely something that just keeps getting kicked down the road based upon needing resources to go through this process. So SAB as a committee recommends the town allow Eco Action Partner to go forward with writing the LOI, which we would then present to town council as the next step in the process for approval prior to submitting it for the grant.
If I can just jump in.
Yeah, especially I was gonna ask you next about your opinion on this, your take on capacity for us going down the road.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, don't always enjoy being that guy, but yeah, from a staff perspective and capacity perspective, I've told that SAB this, it's a bit backwards, right? We're gonna potentially submit this concept paper to commit to applying funds toward, it's almost too good to be true. It's a ton of money. The required match amount is so low, it's unbelievable, really, right? But we haven't set the work plan and talked about priorities for 2026 and what to advance and such. So we're gonna essentially draft this concept paper, throw darts at the board, see what sticks, see if we get invited to apply for funding and go from there. I do think it's a pretty good opportunity, really difficult to pass up. I just wanted to say that fundamentally. And yeah, Terry did a great job explaining the fundamentals of the grant opportunity and what the SAB was recommending. But again, considering the amount and the match requirement, it's a very interesting opportunity, and it's going to be wildly competitive.
Which ultimately means that, if we were to apply for the full 3-tiered amounts, the likelihood of getting that is, TBD. But if we got 50% of it, that would give us the information to inform targets for our budget process in the fall, so that we could look at what, if we were successful, what likely would we have to think about expending. The other thing I didn't mention is the money, the 5% can be in-kind support, which is in existing use of staff resources, counts towards those financial commitments for the matching. So we quantify our labor, staff labor to use as matching funds.
It does kind of sound like too good to be true. But
I mean, I think this is one of those like transformative opportunities that we go for. And if we do have to consider strategic planning around stuff like this, a lot of it aligns with work plan things we want, but don't necessarily have funds to go for. Like, this is really exciting.
And I think we have a pretty good story to tell, because we do have a plan. The sustainability park is sort of the end point of enabling the town to achieve net zero for municipal accounts, used as an example for residents. To Josie's point about the code requirements, that's going to be a serious amount of back and forth discussions and education with the community before we get full buy-in. But that's what these funds are for, is to help finance that process.
So 2 things just to round it out, unless anybody has more questions or comments. Are there nodding heads to proceed with this concept paper letter of interest?
The LOI, I think, makes sense. Yes.
So we have the direction there. Then we will come back to you at 3 o'clock on July 24th with a LOI or concept paper for authorization to submit.
Okay. Sounds good. Any other comments or questions on this?
It looks like Kim might want to speak.
Kim, did you have anything you want to add?
I'll just keep it super brief that Eco Action Partners is extremely excited about this opportunity, and we're willing to support Ridgway in any way capacity that we can to minimize the time and effort required by town staff. So we see it as a really ideal opportunity that Ridgway can set an example for the rest of the region, and we're excited. So thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, is that enough on that one? Any questions in the audience? Such as our audience is. Pretty small as usual.
Just the dregs left.
Don't refer to yourself that way.
You're a good drag.
Item number 17, last item under policy matters, confirmation or amendment of emergency restrictions promulgated by the town manager regarding burning and fires within the town of Ridgway.
Stage 1 restrictions were promulgated or enacted on July 2nd, now subject to town council ratification or amendment.
All right, so you all have that in the packet. Are there any comments or questions? It seems to me like, given the
crispy state of the
crispy state. Like, makes sense to stay in it.
I think we should probably stay at stage 1. We tend to kind of follow the county, and they are staying in it as well. So anybody feel otherwise? Any comments from the audience?
It's similar to the argument, the social argument about keeping water restrictions.
Not changing
because if you change it now, well, they just didn't want fire. But that's what people are going to grouse about. So and it's the right thing.
No, I think it's a good one. It's definitely the right thing to do.
Well, and it's rained once and it's already as dry as it was before that. I would say we're pretty close, just about there. And there's no rain in the forecast.
Right.
And it just removes confusion if we largely stay with the county. It's nice to not deviate from that.
Yeah.
Well, I move to confirm the emergency restrictions on burning and fires within the town of Ridgway.
Second it.
All right, motion by Terry, second by Josie. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Grambling,
Aye.
Kroger,
Aye.
Montague, Skylar,
Aye.
Scoville,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Lakin.
Aye.
Thank you, passes unanimously. That takes us to the discussion about the 2026 fiscal year budget preparation schedule.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is the same as it ever was. July, we try to get a budget schedule, a draft one at that, before you all to look at some of the milestone dates associated with putting the 2026 fiscal year budget together. Everything ranging from department or town staff meetings to we have the formal community grant program in place, so application release and then review of those by the ad hoc review committee. October 8th is the regular scheduled meeting of the town council. That's when the budget needs to be introduced to you all, since I think the requirement's October 15th in any given year. Budget retreat date currently scheduled for October 18th. That is a Saturday. November 12th, we call it a council budget hearing, but that's also a regular meeting setting. Have a budget workshop scheduled for December 3rd, kind of that final go at reviewing the budget, and it's almost a more final state before adoption on December, and statutorily needing to adopt the budget by December 15th, right? So this is really an opportunity to raise your hand and say dates don't work for the majority of us. Let's shift some things around, especially for like the budget retreat, stuff like that.
I've already let Preston and John know that I can't be at the town council meeting on October 8th, but I can certainly review the packet thoroughly, and I am available to be at the budget retreat. So it seems like
We spent way more time at the retreat.
Yeah.
More important.
Yeah.
Be
Well,
there.
and
December.
that 8th meeting, John, is the one that conflicts with the end of mountain towns.
Oh, right.
Right.
All that is just a submittal to council at that point. You get the document so that we meet state statute. We don't usually have discussion at that point.
But are we identifying a problem with a quorum at that meeting?
Yeah, that's getting that, the Mountain Towns 2030 Summit is in Breckenridge, and
Terry and Bethany are going.
yeah, so it may behoove us to look at a different date for that meeting.
Yeah, and I won't be here either.
I mean, could we look at the first Wednesday in October?
I can do that.
Which for me.
I mean, because if the sooner we can give everyone a heads up, the less weird that is.
October 8th, or October 1st, kind of.
That would be the regular council, then you rescheduling the council meeting?
Yeah.
A week earlier.
To get like post notice that it's gonna be
Or
weird.
Thursday.
No, that Thursday is when Ridgway school break starts.
Okay.
I think the first works for most of us.
First works.
Yeah.
Does that work for you both? Okay, so we'll move the regular meeting from October 8th to October 1st.
Oh, good. I won't miss a meeting. I'm gonna have perfect attendance.
Now, for what it's worth, I won't be able to attend the retreat. If all goes well with my back surgery here, I hope to be bicycling in Portugal that week.
Ooh, well, that sounds way more fun than a council meeting. Go for it.
The week of the first, the week of the.
Well, the 18th is when I'm going to be in Portugal.
Oh, okay. Well,
Retreat.
we can
Terry,
No more giving Terry grief.
Okay,
He
so,
is a life.
He picked up trash with me.
yeah.
I heard it was the first time ever.
Not for
that's,
me.
that's not true. I think he's done it at least once.
Does December 3rd work for everyone too? The budget workshop?
Yep.
It's good for me.
That's out right after Thanksgiving.
And that's an evening workshop?
Yes, sir.
The 5:30.
Maybe we could have turkey
regular.
sandwiches.
Yeah, that's happening. Okay, well, it's a living document, so we I'll have it in the packet as we go. So if we need to, things change, right? If we need to modify a date or pull out calendars, we can do that.
Yep, sounds good.
And manager's report.
Yep.
And try to be brief. Some of these items weren't in the report. National Night Out is August 5th. So August 5th, mark your calendars, and it'll be in conjunction, like a tri-agency kind of deal, did it at the 4-H Center? 4-H Center, okay.
What are the hours on that? Like 5 to 8 or 5 to 8?
August 5th. Are we supposed to be there?
Only if you can lose.
It's a nice community, it's a camaraderie building event with your local law enforcement representatives and emergency responders.
There's a bump and jump, you guys.
What's the time?
There's a what?
A what?
There's a bump and jump, you guys.
That's what I thought she called it.
Thought it
Where
was
are you from?
I thought you were saying a dunk tank.
No,
Where you like dunk the law enforcement officers.
I have never heard it called a bump and jump in my entire life. No, but I love it.
Is that hours again, Preston?
It'll be like 5:30.
That is my.
That'll be
Everything about it.
That's great.
That's a dump tank. That's
Should
definitely-
put a dump tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
John can be in the dump tank.
Oh, no,
with the
thank you.
mayor.
No, the law enforcement officials.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we
Look at Shane. It'll be
Shane
Shane in the
gets in
dump
the
tank.
This was a really, really good manager's report, by the way.
Yes.
So bringing it back.
I mean, they're always great.
Thank you.
This one is like really, it was just exceptional. The rest are good. This one exceptional.
Also, you can't say hashtag the joke, but he's not
What
here.
is his joke?
It was, I
Is it
couldn't put it on
inappropriate?
paper.
Oh,
Didn't say, it's not that bad, but I wasn't gonna get dinged for it. Terry, say your joke, please.
Oh, my joke? Okay, we gotta find it. Hold on a second. It's two wizards talking to each other, kind of like, Gandalf. The one says, I'm not making any progress with my bucket list. The other one turns to him and says, we'll change the B to an F and you'll feel better about it.
Nice, Terry.
Why does it have big wizards?
Yeah, what's the wizard part?
That's a good joke.
It was a,
Solid question, but.
John, it was a meme.
Oh,
It's like a cartoon.
It was like a New Yorker cartoon.
Yeah, it's like our cartoon.
And then how about the lawyer joke? Was that yours?
No.
I thought it was pretty good.
All right.
So pina colada, I giggled at
It made me kind of want to sing and dance.
First time ever.
No, first time.
Your first joke, I still remember your first joke, it was that good.
It was.
Then it's just been done.
You're on the up and up, you're on the rise, bud. You're on the rise. He's wearing a sweater. Give him some props. How are you wearing a sweater in this room right
I don't know, it's a mistake. The ductile iron pipe replacement project. That one always falls, second fiddle to the Beaver Creek project now, but that one's
It's still important.
a very important project, and that one is starting July 28th. So here,
Great.
next couple of weeks, we'll sooner than that, start doing outreach and making sure everyone's aware that Amelia Street's gonna get torn up a bit, replacing that pipe, and then going up the hill to the water plant. But that'll take about 2.5, 3 months time. On Ridgway, that he's doing that.
That'll be a good opportunity to pave it.
Just because you
Put it out.
got extra money lying around for that.
Yeah,
with all of our
And everybody's in favor of that.
And then just a couple more things. This was in the report. The RFP for the banner, the state highways banner structure project has been issued.
Nice.
So
Good.
hopefully by the next meeting in August, we have a lot of contractor interest in the project. They can award that. And then on the construction documents for the baseball fields and pickleball courts, DHM's working on 30% CDs now and should have a package July 18th with upcoming open house this summer and more to come. So I'll leave it at that.
Sounds great. I like the new truck.
Pretty sharp. Definitely. Any questions for Preston on this report, on this excellent report?
Excellent report.
Yeah, what about the rest? They're just. Wow.
The rest are very good. This one was excellent. You are allowed to take a compliment, my friend. This is not a dig.
It's a joke thing.
No, I just thought it was a good report. You did a good
I get
job.
it, good municipal jokes.
There you go. All right, so committee reports.
I have a brief one with the SAB. If you're ready,
No.
we continue
Wait,
to
hold
have.
on 1 second. I have a question. Did we talk about you doing this in writing?
We did,
We talked
to
about
save
doing
time
this
to
in
meeting.
writing.
And then we would all
Just
save our
save
committee
time.
reports in writing and had time to review.
Yeah.
That was
Can
for
we-
sure.
In the
Can you just
future,
like bring that back around? Because I, you know, respectfully,
I must have missed that requirement.
we're there, bud.
The SAB is going to be presenting quarterly as we did last quarter. I thought that was the compromise, not having a written report. I was just going to give a quick verbal on our meetings, but
go ahead.
I can brain if you want.
Go for it.
We continue to have productive meetings. You know, we've got two public events planned. I think I mentioned those before. One is the EV Ride and Drive event, and the other is the ribbon cutting at the for the microgrid at the Decker Inn on September 5th. We're inviting Eco Action Partners. The SAB will present SMPA, and we're inviting POW to present one of their movies.
Sorry, what date is that?
Pardon me? September
date?
5th. September 5th in the Decker Room. We've already cleared that with Tara and Ariel, I believe.
Okay, just want to make sure I have it on my schedule.
Okay. We're coming up on some changeover on some of the positions, so there's going to be some openings on the SAB due to the schedule of everybody's appointment schedules. And then just a quick shout out for Dana. She obviously was frustrated tonight. She showed up thinking she'd had time to present that. She's trying to introduce a resolution for a no idling resolution, which the SAB fully recognizes is going to be difficult to enforce, but nonetheless supports putting a resolution on paper to prevent idling. And so I think she passed out something for you to read. We can probably revisit that either next meeting or as part of our quarterly report through the SAB coming up this quarter. The end.
Preston, can you either put a copy of Dana's thing in my box or email it to me?
Yeah, I'll email it to you. And
Myself
and
as well, please. Thanks, Preston.
It's you too, yeah. I'll send it to both of y'all. And then on the strategic plan, there is, if you remember, the SAB's collective goals, right? But in the strategic plan and exploring and idle-free ordinance is in that. So, you know, perhaps at the next SAB meeting or a couple meetings, we can further explore getting this this ordinance, you know, drafted and ultimately presented at some point, like you said, Terry, next quarterly update. I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good time. That's like we did with the net zero resolution. It seems to be good on our quarterly schedule.
Not to be overshadowed by the SAB, the planning commission did the last meeting of reviewing the master plan. I want to say from 2019. Looking forward to next year when it will be updated. So we've just been looking at that. And we completed that, and there are no applications this month, so the meeting has been canceled. So there'll be no planning meeting next week, and so therefore I will have no update for you in August.
Great.
And next month we'll submit our committee updates in writing ahead of the meeting. Just because we said then we have more comprehensive updates, time to actually read them and have questions if we have.
Any other updates?
Any other updates? Any other updates?
I got nothing else.
The Fuse Creative Main Street Group is starting its review of this year's second round of mini grants for businesses and artists in the community. And so that's pretty exciting that the group continues giving back to everybody and passing the bucks around, which is awesome.
Well, great. Thanks for that, Kevin. Anything else? Let's get in the order. Hearing none, I will declare us adjourned.
Everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good evening, everybody.
Let's
See ya.
go back.